We're just waiting on our city manager and city attorney, and then we'll get kick started. And we apologize for running a little bit late. Closed session was kind of full. You like that? See that? Huh? You do? Well, good evening, everyone. I will call to order tonight's regular city council meeting for October 21st, 2025. If you can, please stand and join me as we have our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And Madam Clerk, can you do roll call, please?
Just, I don't know, the computer's running very slow. I'm just, I don't know, it's not selecting. Okay. Councilmember Brando Cruz,
Here.
Councilmember Melissa Lamatina,
Here.
Councilmember David Oro,
Here.
Vice Mayor Mark Joseph,
Here.
Mayor Pierre Washington.
I'm here, and happy birthday, Teresa. I'll make sure everybody knows. Report on closed session, confirmation, and reportable action. Ms. Teresa Highsmith.
Thank you, Mayor. The council met in closed session this evening on two closed session matters. The annual performance evaluation for the city manager, and feedback was provided to the city manager. Additionally, conference with legal counsel, one matter of anticipated litigation. Direction was provided to staff and legal counsel. However, it is possible that we've continued the matter and may continue to meet on that later this evening. And that's the end of my report.
Thank you, Ms. Highsmith. Moving on to proclamations and presentations. Tonight, we have 2 proclamations and 3 presentations. And we will start off with item number 3, proclamation for October 2025 National Code Enforcement Appreciation Month. And I already see Tiffany Ford here. So will you be receiving this? Okay, Tiffany, if you wouldn't mind coming up to the podium as I read the proclamation, and then I'll allow you opportunity to kind of give us your thoughts, and then we'll take a picture up front. Got your whole team up there now. Nice. National Code Compliance Appreciation Month, October 2025. Whereas code enforcement officers provide health, safety, and welfare across California by educating the public and, when necessary, enforcing local, state, and federal law. And whereas code enforcement officers serve in challenging and demanding roles, often without recognition, while working to enhance residents' quality of life and support economic vitality for local businesses. And whereas the field of code enforcement requires broad expertise in areas such as building, zoning, housing, animal control, environmental protection, public health, and life safety. And whereas code enforcement officers are trained and certified in code enforcement practices, the California Law Enforcement Telecommunication Systems, mediation, and conflict resolution. And whereas code enforcement officers provide critical support to homebound and vulnerable residents in need of assistance, and whereas they collaborate closely with the building officials, law enforcement, fire department, and legal professionals to ensure community safety and compliance. And whereas code enforcement officers maintain a highly visible presence in the communities they serve, respectfully engaging with individuals to explain neighborhood preservations, rules, and regulations. And whereas their duties often require working nights and weekends, sometimes in hazardous conditions, to protect the residents and businesses of American Canyon. And whereas the American Canyon Association of Code Enforcement recognizes and honors code enforcement officers and professionals, raising awareness to the vital role they play in communities across the United States. Now, therefore, I, Mayor Pierre Washington, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim October 2025 as National Code Compliance Appreciation Month and express our appreciation for the dedication and service of our code enforcement officers.
Mayor Washington, Vice Mayor Joseph,
Tiffany, just a moment. We need the microphone on at the podium, please.
It's on.
It's on. Oh,
Oh,
can you get
can you hear me
closer
now?
to it?
is that better? Okay, sorry about that. Mayor Washington, Vice Mayor Joseph, Council Members Oro, Cruz, and Lamatina, City Attorney Teresa Highsmith, City Manager Jason Holly, Assistant City Manager Juan Gomez, management staff and coworkers. Last week, our department had the opportunity to talk about what we do within the Community Development Department during the annual Citizens Academy. It's always refreshing to see how receptive and even appreciative the residents of American Canyon are to code enforcement. I want to thank my department coworkers for checking on me and looking out for my well-being. I want to thank Brent for his ongoing support. And finally, thank you all for your acknowledgement.
Thank you, Tiffany.
And good evening, Council, members of the public. I'm Brent Cooper, Community Development Director, and it's really an honor to celebrate code enforcement every year. And we have our other compatriots here from our department. We're really happy. We have Julianne Gilfus and Laura Welch, all part of our very small and dedicated team looking out for citizens of American Canyon. But in many ways, the code enforcement function really is something that belongs to all of us. Our residents inform us of what needs to be looked at. And for everybody else, you know, we're just being good neighbors on a day-to-day basis and kind of, you know, taking care of ourselves and our properties. And there's a lot of work to that, and it's noticed and appreciated. So really, this is an evening of celebration for everybody because we love American Canyon and its beauty and safety and a wonderful place to call home.
Thank you, Brent. I just want to also add that I know, Tiffany, your job is pretty difficult out there sometimes, but every person that I've spoken to that told me that you've written them a citation told me that you've written a citation, they love you. So I'm like, well, how's that even possible? You know, but hey, I appreciate how you are able to de-escalate tough situations and what you do out there. I have not heard one negative thing about how you present yourself in the city, so thank you. And we,
Missed.
Next, oh, did you have something else?
I'm not sure. It's up to you.
I have item number 4, our presentation for Spirit Horse.
Mayor, staff would recommend that we also, in the interest of kind of reorganizing things, if we wouldn't also do item number 10, we have a presentation actually related to code enforcement. And rather than keeping folks here to the end of our meeting, if we could get this all accomplished now, then it'll segue nicely.
Okay, any objection from council? No? Seeing none? Yep, that's to go item number 10, moving it up to, it's the Community Development Code Enforcement Update. Mr. Cooper.
There. Thank you. I had to be, said to show me where the mouse cursor was. Anyways, our pleasure to briefly give you an overview of code enforcement and some of our findings on the inner workings, information that you might not normally know about, and kind of let you know kind of where we're going and what's important. And so I'll turn it over to Tiffany, and then we'll kind of trade off a little bit.
Sure. Code enforcement. So the purpose of code enforcement is to promote and maintain American Canyon as a safe and desirable community. And this is done through education and through enforcement of the municipal code. On an average day, this may be some of the violations that I see throughout the city. There's an example of a vehicle parked on lawn, some trash in public view, some commercial storage. And then the process, once a violation is confirmed, contact is made with the property owner. They get notified through 2 courtesy letters, which gives them a date of compliance. If compliance isn't met, it can lead to 4 citations. If compliance isn't met after 4 citations, it may be forwarded to the city attorney. You may or may not have seen on occasion, maybe after a fire, a building may be red tagged because it's unsafe to occupy. And then for anyone that does receive a citation, there is an appeal process. That's outlined on the back of a citation and also on the city website on the code enforcement page. And then code enforcement does provide a reasonable time frame for the violator to meet compliance. Reporting violations. So violations can be reported either via email to me, a phone call to me, even a letter, and also through the See Click Fix app. You can download the app onto your mobile phone. And then if you're out and about and you kind of see a violation, something you're concerned about, you can just click a photo of it and it gets uploaded and goes right to me to create a case and move forward with enforcement. And then also recently, we obtained the OpenGov application. And so now on the code enforcement page, if you click that you want to request an investigation, it'll take you to the OpenGov website where you can put in the location and put in your concern.
I think as the proclamation mentioned, there's a variety of ways in which we coordinate with our building official, fire district, utility billing, and also with our city attorney. We took a look, kind of a deeper dive into some of the caseload that's managed through the code enforcement, and we find that in the last few fiscal years, we have 180 cases per year that are completed, resolved, and closed. And that's about an average of 15 cases per month. And that's a tremendous workload and resolving issues over the course of a year. When you think about holidays, vacation, how much time do you actually have left in the course of a year when we have a single code enforcement officer? So it's a tremendous amount of workload that's resolved, which I think we all like to see. You look at how many cases are open per year, on average, it's about 193. So on average, we're increasing open cases by about 19 every year. So that's certainly an area of focus where we might need to look at how can we expedite resolving some of our issues. We have broken it down here in a pie chart showing the kinds of characteristic qualities, different types. The largest one is called neighborhood preservation. This is a very, very broad category. Some of these cases the categories are very broad, so it's a little hard to get some meaning out of that as to what really happens out there in the real world. In reality, we have 73% of our cases are 5 issues. And so when we look at that, it's unpermitted building, construction is the largest, water shutoff, which I'll talk about some more, is a large one, residential parking, rubbish in view of the street, and overgrown vegetation. So we just have some example pictures here. I do want to take a moment to talk about water shutoff. There is a very complicated and thorough process. If people don't pay their water bill in accordance with state law and city council resolution, where the finance department and utility billing manage that along in partnership with Public Works, who out and manage the meters. And so there's a very lengthy process just for that alone. And if that doesn't succeed, well, then the end of the line is Tiffany gets to get involved. And so when that happens, usually the cases are resolved fairly quickly, but as I'll show you a little later, it takes a lot of work. And then we have here residential parking, rubbish, and overgrown vegetation. So I mentioned that some cases are harder and longer to resolve than others. By the very largest margin, unpermitted building permits applications, when they are code violations, take almost 2 years. I mean, certainly more than a year. It's 614 days on average. So they can be very, very lengthy. And then residential parking, water shutoff, overgrown, and rubbish. So those are the average days to resolve these cases. And over that time, there's a lot of discussions with property owners, perhaps time extensions, information, education, helping to facilitate decisions and resolution. If we look at what might be difficult to resolve, an indication of that is on our system, every time there is work that is done and interactions, there's a chronology note made. And so this doesn't necessarily cover everything that does happen. I can imagine if you're very busy, you probably don't go in and enter in every little thing you do on a computer. But as sort of a larger sort of area of sort of order of magnitude, unpermitted building is still both the most difficult and lengthy of all of the processes. Water shutoff is our second one, and that's where I mentioned there's a lot of intensive communication with the property owner. There's laws and things to check to make sure that the water is, people are maybe not living there, or there's a lot of circumstances and careful attention that's given to that. And then we have the other 3 that are kind of along in line after that. If you look at time versus effort, you can kind of see some things that aren't necessarily take so much time, but they're more effort. Kind of interesting. So key takeaways is, I think there's no question we have an enormously dedicated and productive code enforcement officer who resolves many cases each year through very difficult situations. But there are more cases that do come in than we complete. So that's certainly an issue to consider as we go forward. Unpermitted building is the most lengthy and difficult case to resolve. And time management, really because of the number of cases and staffing, there is necessarily prioritization, what to take first, where to focus time, and those are all the health and safety issues. And that would speak to why building construction is among them, because unsafe buildings can lead people to harm. And so as we look at these, we continue to focus on efforts to improve time with outreach. We have many materials to help people understand our codes, coordinating, of course, with other departments, looking at improving efficiencies, and so on. And my favorite would be a therapy dog. I think we need a code enforcement therapy dog. I think that would go a long way. I would name it Cody. Cody, the code enforcement dog. We are in the people industry after all. So anyway, that's our presentation. Glad to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you, Mr. Cooper. Ms. Ford, any clarifying questions from council? Vice Mayor Joseph.
Well, thank you for the report and all your efforts. And I guess the first question is, why is the unpermitted building, why does it take so long? What are the, how does that work? Or why?
Well, it's oftentimes people build something and then they need to get a permit. So it may not, if it's a room addition or something important, they need to get engineers involved, perhaps an architect. That takes time. And so there's perhaps a learning lesson about what may be needed. And then the realization that they may have to spend money they weren't planning to do to make sure that it's constructed and designed safely. So all of those things can often take a long time to get through and resolve.
That makes sense. And then on the water shutoffs, is the delay, is it something that's state mandated? Is it something we've created, that maybe was a holdover during the COVID days that we might be able to address?
The delay, can you clarify?
Well, I guess to put it in a different perspective, it used to be code enforcement wasn't involved in water shutoffs. It was like finance did all the work and then public works went out and.
Well, I can say that it ends up to me because it becomes a health and safety violation. So legally, you have to have hot and cold running water where there's a residential living facility. And so after finance has exhausted efforts to get water turned on, it comes to me.
Okay, so the city's already turned off your water and then you show up saying, hey, for
Exactly.
X number of days, you've got
Yeah.
no water. Now it's a red tag.
There is,
Okay.
there perhaps our finance director or assistant city manager could explain some of the process just for water shutoff itself. I know that's very complicated, and we only know in that once that's finished, then we get
When you
involved.
Get involved. Okay.
Hello, yeah, Juan Gomez, Assistant City Manager. Yeah, we go through an exhaustive process. So once we provide them a notice that we're going to shut them off, and they fail to pay their bill, we do shut them off, and then we work with them with a payment arrangement and so forth. Most of the time, these are residents or customers that have already been on a payment arrangement, so they've already been shut off. They've been turned back on. We set them up for a payment arrangement. They failed that payment arrangement, and then per state law, we can't enter into a new payment arrangement because they've already failed their first one. So what happens is once we shut them off, and then after a period of around 14 days, that's when we send it over to code enforcement because that dwelling has been without water, running water for that amount of time. So it becomes a health issue.
Okay. All right. And then it used to be that all of these were complaint-based, and I'm assuming that's still the case?
So yes and no. If there's a health and safety issue that I can see, I'm obligated to address it.
Okay.
So that kind of speaks to unpermitted construction. I can see that a re-roof is taking place, for example. I'm obligated to
Okay.
respond. I don't need to wait for a complaint to respond.
Well, all of that was by way of asking the real question, which is, if we are slowly getting more open cases than we can close, do you have any solutions on how to address that other than just working harder? Because that's always an option, but not always a sustainable
Well,
one.
I think we're working as hard as we can. The other solution I know you know all about is working smarter.
No, I just know working harder.
But yes, this actually, eh, we have really taken a close look at the data in order to provide a management update, and it data sort of reveals issues that need to
Okay.
be resolved. We are constantly looking at ways in which we can streamline our processes, and that are things that we continue to do along with that.
Okay, well, thank you.
Councilmember Cruz?
Yes, thank you for that report. So first of all, by yourself doing what you do, I imagine we need a whole nother code enforcement officer, but I know that's a whole different story in itself, another time to talk about that. So you mentioned that you have about 15 closed cases a month and about 20 open per month. How do these cases get reported to you? Is it something you have to proactively go out and look to see for yourself, or is it something through ClickFix?
It gets reported to me through SeeClickFix. It now gets reported to me through OpenGov, phone calls, emails. So any way that people can reach out to me, even through coworkers, maybe a public works workers in the street, then they may tell them the complaint and pass it along to me. So all those ways.
Thank you. There was, if I may, I just came from a conference in Long Beach, and they had code enforcement officer and equipment and AI. Have you thought about using any type of those programs to assist you in your endeavors with code enforcement?
Yes, but I have to, act within the parameters of the law. So AI is definitely something that we take a look at and see how that can be incorporated. Um, I use it sometimes for feedback on responses to residents.
Great.
So,
Thank you.
I think there at some level there isn't a quick way to resolve things, because every case, when it is reported to our department, needs to be individually verified. So there are no situations where Tiffany will enforce a complaint on the basis of what she hears from somebody. She actually goes out and confirms it herself.
Okay. Seeing no further questions, I want to thank Assistant City Manager Juan Gomez for coming up and helping out with that one answer. And thank you again, both Ms. Ford, Mr. Cooper, on what you guys do. This is a item that was reported from the managers and staff oral report, so there's no public comment on this one. So thank you. I'll go back onto our normal agenda. And I will go to item number 4, a presentation for Spirit Horse. And I'm sure Charlotte is here. So, okay, there you go. Hey, Charlotte.
Good evening, Mayor Washington, Vice Mayor Joseph, City Council members, City Manager Holly. Where's my PowerPoint? I'm just here to kind of give you guys an update at what I've been doing out at Spirit Horse. Okay, thank you. And I promise I will keep it definitely short. We do a veterans program out there, and we've been doing it for the last couple years. We recently, last month, did a program for a camp for women veterans, which was absolutely amazing. We plan to keep moving forward with more veteran programs. It's super cool. We have one guy, he was out there tonight riding, a Vietnam veteran. He's 83 years old, and he's out there riding horses, which is cool. So our HAY program, which is Horses Empowering Youth, that is a program that we do with Camille Creek. The kids come out every Friday morning for a couple of hours and they learn how to take care of the horses. They learn to ride horses. Sometimes we have guest speakers. And that has been a super cool program. I don't know if I have the slide on here, but this past, this was a program that actually Camille Creek did for, it was Vallejo School District Special Needs class. And Camille Creek, they helped with the field trip. So it was just absolutely amazing to see these kids step up to the plate. A school, Thorogood Marshall Community School in San Francisco. Actually, they have a program called Max 415. And they contacted me. They found us online and asked if we would do 2 camps for them this past summer. And oh my gosh, was that an amazing thing. We had 57 kids on 1 week, and then we had 38 another. These were kids that had never touched horses or anything. They were just like, oh, we thought all pigs were white. Yeah, I'm telling you, it was absolutely amazing. They were like, we do a lot of things with the horses and people out there, and it's really all about connection. And these kids, it was just amazing to see them connecting to the horses with tears in their eyes and just feeling the love. Here's our program, Diverse Abilities. We have a contract with North Bay Regional Services, and so we have a big program for kids, with different abilities. And there's just so much, it just feels so good to be able to offer these programs to these kids and adults. This right here, Dylan's Dream, A World Without Cancer. We did the first camp last summer, and we just did it again this past Sunday. We had probably, I would say, almost 20 kids more than what we had last year. And we have Oakland Children's Hospital, Kaiser, UCSF, John Muir. And we have kids from all of those different hospitals. I was talking with Denise, and she said next year they think that we're going to actually have kids that are being treated at Stanford also. So there's just like really, really cool. And the kids, to see their smiles and what they go through, like, man, I feel blessed to be able to offer it. And I'm able to offer that from you guys, the city of American Canyon. So it's a huge impact. Our teen intern program, on the left there, we have Madison that's here, right down there on the bottom. We have kids from Camille Creek helping out with lessons, building leaders through teaching. Connection, and just all the different ways that we really focus on connecting with horses. Let's see. Thank you for helping us empower lives through Second Chance Horses and Animals. I have one more, okay. So I just had a short documentary film was done on me, and it was accepted to the Equus Film Festival back in Maryland. And so it's a nationwide festival. And so this is the trailer. I'm going to go ahead, play it for you. It's short. Isabel Salago right there is who did the film. I like to say that there's second chance. When I changed my life, I feel like I got a second chance, and that's how I created Spirit Horse.
And I think like one of the biggest things is, not ever feeling worthy that you deserve goodness, that you're good. I want to say that's a battle I've fought like probably my whole life. But I decided that I am a survivor. I'm not a victim. And I understand now why, because I was supposed to do this, what I'm doing now, and I would have to go through that to be able to connect and do what I'm doing. My program here is about building confidence, and learning to believe in yourself, having empathy and learning how to connect. That's what our program is about.
So thank you all.
Thank you, Charlotte, and the things that you're doing at Spirit Horse. And I know for a fact that you don't like to go up there and speak in front of people, but I applaud you for going up there. But what you and the horses have done has brought joy to so many people's lives, confidence. And I applaud you for those type of things that you're doing, especially for the veterans. I just had a whole week of time with veterans, and they have shared with me the time that they spent down there with you and the horses. And there is power in horses. So I thank you for what you're doing. And I'd love to take a picture with you with the rest of the city council and
Yeah.
and Isabella and
Yeah.
the rest of your team.
That
if
that
you
would
wouldn't
be
mind.
wonderful. I also have one other little thing that I forgot to add in. I am partnered with Napa Junction, fourth grade class, and so they come over on Fridays. So hopefully we keep connecting, more and more with all of the schools out here, and that they can come to Spirit Horse and do programs there with us. And please, we're right here, for you guys. If you guys need me to do any kind of programs for you, I'm there. Just ask.
Thank you. Thank you. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
You want to get a picture? Our next item is number 5, a presentation by Manila Munchies and the event. I'm sure there's Farah, Carla, Sophia, and Elmer. Well, the 3 ladies at least. Elmer's Angels, okay.
You can lower the stand too if you want.
Short Filipino girl. Okay, I'm not that short. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, City Council, everyone else here. We just wanted to come and share about Manila Munchies. We were here, I don't know, last week, 2 weeks. We just wanted to give a recap of our event that happened last Saturday. Sorry, my days are all like mumbled, but we wanted to share a presentation. So we had Manila Munchies at Shenandoah Park. It was to celebrate Filipino American History Month. This is our second year, but this year actually felt more like the first year, just that a number of people said, oh, we'd never heard about it, and this is our first time. They had a great time. So we wanted to share with you guys just a few things in regards to our event.
We'll come make a meal for you. We'll crack jokes with you. We'll find a way to make you smile. Just come say hi. It's the simplest thing you could do.
Bebo, bebo, bet, bebo, bebo, bet, bebo, bebo, bet. Ikaw ang aking bebo, bebo, bet, bebo, bebo, bet, bebo, bebo, bet.
We can talk about the food, we can talk about the dance, we can about the colorful thing, the languages, and there's so many beautiful things. But for me personally, I love the culture of resistance.
Filipino, 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 Filipino. Bebo, bebo, bet, bebo, bebo, bet, bebo, bebo, bet. Ikaw ang aking bebo, bebo, bet, bebo, bebo, bet, bebo, bebo, bet. Ikaw ang aking bebo, bebo, bet, bebo, bebo, bet, bebo, bebo, bet. Ikaw ay Filipino, Filipino, Filipino.
Being Filipino to me means going deep into my root. And not everybody shows love the same. Some do it through action, some do it through words, some do it through food. Work hard and being kind. If you do those two things, you're Filipino, even if you're not blood.
Filipino, 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 Filipino.
So we definitely had a great time. So if you were there, I'm sure you guys saw our event where we had the food court where we had about, oh, it's in here, sorry. Okay, let's start with this. So we got information from the event. We brought in over 4,000 people. And so it shows the percentage of people who came, like different cities. So they came from American Canyon, Vallejo, Sassoon, Oakland, Fairfield, Vacaville, Benicia, Petaluma. So we did bring in a lot of people from outside of our town to our events. And then it shows like the ethnicities that came to our events. And there were over 800 attendees that stayed for more than 150 minutes. And it peaked around 5 to 6 p.m. with over 2,000 attendees. I think they just came to get food. The biggest thing that was very dear to our hearts was we were able to give back $1,000 each to both American Canyon Middle School and American Canyon High School. So the middle school once had a Filipino club. We actually helped start the Filipino club at the middle school, and the high school currently has a Filipino club and is currently growing. And so we were able to give them $1,000 each so that they could use the money to help support their clubs. So that was like the most exciting part for all of us. The vendors, we had 13 food and beverage vendors. A lot of these vendors actually came from outside of American Canyon, so we had to bring in vendors from different cities. So they came from as far as Fresno? Yeah. From as far as Fresno, just to be able to come to our city and be a vendor. So we did get a lot of feedback, and people were like, oh, these vendors, like they have like really good food. And they were very, very busy, like lines were everywhere. So that part of the event was great. We had 27 retail, informational, nonprofit, kids commerce, community, and miscellaneous. We had them in the park area all throughout there. We had a kids corner, so we have Kababayan Kids. They are a group of women who got together, and they provided a story time with grandparents. They learned how to play Filipino games, story times with Yo-Yo. These women are fantastic. They sell Filipino books, things like that. And then we also had live painting by Marielle. She did a live painting at our events. Entertainers, we had 9 performers. We had the ice cream challenge, which was great. So if you guys know Devette, she got 4th place. I was trying to tell her what to do, but she didn't listen. And then we also had a balut challenge. If you don't know what a balut is in the Filipino culture, it is
Don't explain, cut it off.
okay, yeah, let's not say it. But if ever you just Google it. And then we also had a silent disco, which was pretty cool, that got donated to us. So we had an area where people could come and they had their earphones, and it was just like a silent disco. So that was great. Their survey that we got back, they were saying things like it was so much fun. Congratulations on a successful event. These events fit our community and is very important. Love everything about it. The event is very well thought out, and we truly appreciate all the hard work and planning that went into making it a success, and then can't wait for next year. So we just wanted to say thank you to everyone here, especially the City of American Canyon. I'm going to have Sophie talk about our sponsors, but thank you so much for supporting us because, you know, we are a new nonprofit and we don't have any money. So we're learning, but know that, you know, the money that does come in, we don't really pay ourselves, but we like want to give back to the community, and that our whole goal was to give back with this event and every event that comes after, is that we want to give back, especially to American Canyon, especially to the students of American Canyon. These are our kids, like it takes a village to raise them, and we want to do our small part in giving back to them so that they can enjoy their childhood, they can enjoy being a teenager, they could just enjoy school. So
My turn. I just would like to say thank you to all our sponsors, the City of American Canyon, Josh Mendoza, Coffee and Cocoa on the Go, Fran Lemos, David Gilbreth, Scott Thomason, AC Orthodontics, Mark Joseph, Chamber of Commerce, Fast Sign, Le Paris, TJ's Boba, Wellness, Supported Living Services. Thank you. Maraming salamat po.
Just one last thing before we end the presentation. We do have a next event, November 8th. It's part 2 of the Manila Munchies. It's called Kamayan and Comedy. It's going to be, all the food will be cooked by Chef Andre from Roll Lines there from Vacaville, and Chef Gio from Cooked by Gio, our food truck. And we will also have Very Brave Coffee, and then Rex Navarrete, he's an OG Filipino comedian, so he's going to be there. He's actually from Portland, so he's coming to town to do his little comedy segment. We'll have food, drinks, and then what kind of Filipino party doesn't have dancing and karaoke? So we're gonna have that at the end as well. So if you guys want to purchase tickets, we'll be here, and you can follow us too on Instagram at frienddoors.inc. But if you guys have any questions, we'll be right here. Thank you. It's going to be at the Boys and Girls Club. Sorry. November 8th, 5:30 to 10 p.m. at the Boys and Girls Club. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
yes. And so the proceeds for this event, we are actually trying to do a fund a need with the schools. So our whole goal is to try to get coaches, teachers, PTAs to come and fill something out that says, hey, I have a need, I need this much money for this, or if I need this for that, or you know, whatever they need. And so whatever proceeds we get from this event, we are looking to give back to these requests. So yes.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Before we go to the next presentation and proclamation, we are also moving item number 11, presentation, the Wall That Heals recap. If we could have Ally.
Hello, Mr. Mayor. I am here this evening, and first and foremost, I just want to say thank you to all of our amazing volunteers over this past week. As you know, the Wall That Heals came into our community on October 14th and just recently left on the 19th. If you were here and able to see it, it was the replica, a 3/4 scale replica of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial from Washington, D.C. It was in Independence Park from October 16th through the 19th. It was 375 feet long and open to the public for 24 hours a day, and featured 58,281 names of the men and women who served in the Vietnam War, who made the ultimate sacrifice. It was an honor to be able to feature that here in American Canyon. We were the only location in Northern California from the 14th through the 19th. And it was a very emotional experience. And it was it was a great way to pay tribute to our veterans and to our community. And we wanted to put together a little video. It's not fully done. I want to just preference that. We weren't able to really capture everything as a whole. We will actually do a larger video with everything pulling together, but this is something that we pulled together really quickly. And we just wanted to share that with the community, kind of just to give a little highlight.
American Canyon was one of just 30 cities in the nation and the only one in Northern California selected to host the Wall That Heals. This 3/4 scale replica of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial brought the stories of 58,281 fallen service members to life, and our community answered the call to honor them. For a few unforgettable days, Independence Park became a place of reflection, gratitude, and healing.
I'm thankful that my brother is being honored. It's a good moment to have a family member honored this way.
How does it feel to be here?
Nearly 200 volunteers came together. Neighbors, families, students, veterans, city staff, police, and firefighters, all working side by side to make it happen.
It's very, very worthwhile.
It's an overwhelming experience to be here amongst all the 58,000 names on the wall.
Feels great being a part of the community in this wonderful event.
From children leaving handwritten notes to veterans finding familiar names on the wall, every moment told a story of connection and care. Congressman Mike Thompson, a Vietnam veteran himself, shared powerful words during the in-memory ceremony as the city officially proclaimed it the Wall That Heals Week. To everyone who volunteered, donated, or simply showed up, thank you. You helped show the nation what we already know. American Canyon is a community that leads with heart. Together, we honored our heroes, strengthened our bonds, and reminded one another of what it truly means to call this place home.
So as you can see from that video, it really was a very meaningful and magical week, and very emotional. Sorry. I'm still kind of recovering from the week. There was just so many stories that were shared that week. And just to kind of just share with everybody, there is a Vietnam veteran that lived right across the street from Independence Park. He showed up every single day. And he had actually shared with us that he was really trying to make it to the wall in Washington, D.C., and he wasn't able to, and for whatever reason. And he walked out to his front yard and he's like, the wall is here in my front yard. And there's just many stories like that in this community. And it was just very meaningful and very impactful. And I just really want to say thank you to our volunteers. If you could only imagine the amount of work and time and energy that it took to put that wall up, over 6 hours to put up and take down. And I want to give a special thanks to all of our volunteers for the amount of hours and the time and dedication and the pure grit that they put in to making this event happen. We could not have done it without you. So thank you. Thank you for coming out and supporting. Thank you for being a part of this magical and meaningful event. It really did mean a lot. It really showed your community spirit. And this really truly represented American Canyon. And VVMF spoke very highly of our community, and we definitely put our name on the map nationally. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, you did an excellent job yourself there, Miss Ali Akita, managing that. And with your volunteers, I got to give some special props to Hugh Marquez and Beth Marcus for all the work that you guys did bringing in those volunteers. It was an amazing job. I thank you for what you did. Yesterday, I had the opportunity and the privilege to go to the high school to thank the high school football team for coming out and help take that down. And they did it with pride in every panel that they took down. And it was really emotional. And there were people, veterans, that watched how they did that. After taking that that monument down, I had several calls afterwards that people were telling me that, you know what, they were so proud of those young men that were taking those signs down, and how they just showed honor to those service members, just and young kids. And they, when I spoke to them yesterday, they told me that they appreciate their freedom even more because of the wall that came here. So thank you for putting that together. Thank you, Hugh. Thank you, Beth, for just being amazing volunteer coordinators and doing it very professional. So thank you. And I stand and applaud you for all that you did. And I can't forget my city manager, because, you know, you were 100% behind what we were doing. So thank you. And you were out there, you know, every day but one, I think. But you were out there. I had an opportunity to meet the city manager's mom and his dad. His dad's also a veteran in Vietnam. It was very, you know, and again, it was an honor. It was just an honor to have this whole thing.
Let us shut
Job
down
well
City
done.
Hall for the day too.
Yeah.
So that was really special.
Yeah. She put in that application. She did.
Sit at the microphone.
Jen Kassenbach was the beginning of this. Without her love for the city and what she wanted to bring here, this would not have occurred. You took the ball and ran with it. But Jen Kassenbach is the lady who brought the wall to our city because she knew we deserved it.
And she's also a veteran.
And she's also better.
That's right.
So make sure that she's not forgotten.
Oh, I've been on the phone with her, texting her and everything else, talking about how much I appreciate her. Yeah, that's true. Very good. But a job well done to all. Thank you. Thank you very much. Next, we're going to go to a proclamation and then a presentation for Diwali. And I'm going to ask my friend, Arvin, to come up to the podium. And whoever else you want to come up there with you as well. You don't have to be up there by yourself. I'm gonna read the proclamation. We'll take a picture, give you a few words. And I think that you want, like, every time we see you, we know treats come along with your visits. So always, always. So reading, Diwali. Diwali, the Festival of Lights. Whereas Hindu American Foundation and over 1 billion people worldwide respectfully observe Diwali, the Festival of Lights, symbolizing the victory of, I might pronounce this wrong, Dharma, the good over evil. And whereas Diwali is among the most significant festivals celebrated by Hindus, Sikhs, Jains, and Buddhists, honoring faith, knowledge, and community, and reflecting the rich cultural heritage and contributions of the South Asian Americans that strengthen the society and civil and civics fabrics of our nation. And whereas this year, Diwali will be celebrated over 5 days, from Saturday, October 18th through Wednesday, October 22nd, in accordance with the lunar calendar, with the main day of celebration, Lakshmi, okay, occurring on Monday, October 20th. Recognizing the entire festival period honors the full cultural and spiritual significance of Diwali. Whereas the festival inspires acts of charity, selfless service, and reflection of values and compassions, unity, and light over darkness. And whereas Diwali timeless message of hope and harmony resonates with the people of all backgrounds, reminding us all that light can dispel darkness and that understanding the goodwill strengthens our shared humanity. And whereas the celebration of Diwali provides an opportunity to recognize the shared values of the community, inclusivity, inclusivity, and mutual respect that unites people of all backgrounds in American Canyon. And now, therefore, I, Mayor Pierre Washington, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim October 18th through the 22nd, 2025, as Diwali, the Festival of Lights in American Canyon, and encourage all residents to join in celebrating its message of peace, hope, and harmony.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, council members, and friends from the city of American Canyon. Thanks for recognizing celebrating Diwali in the Festival of Lights. On this day, we remember Lord Ram returned to kingdom after 14 years of exile. To welcome him home, we lit the lamps, share our gifts, and kill the darkness. That is the main message we have. To welcome home back, the people lit lamps to celebrate the victory of good over evil and light over darkness. Diwali reminds us that even in difficult time, light and truth always prevails. We celebrate Diwali by lighting our homes, sharing sweets and gifts, and spreading love of joy. Among family and friends, it's not only the celebration in India, but all over the world. Even in the White House, they celebrate Diwali festival. In USA, 3 states already recognize Diwali as an official holiday from 2026. They are Connecticut, Pennsylvania, and the great city or state, California. So we will celebrate next year this one event. We do celebrate this event, to help the families, help the friends, and all over the country, all over the world, even in Dubai or in Australia or England or wherever you go, in the Middle East countries also, they celebrate this event. So may this festival of lights bring brightness, peace, and progress to all of us and this wonderful community of American Canyon. American Canyon is the only city in this Bay Area where we celebrate Diwali with the city officials, council people, and the mayors. So I doubt anybody is celebrating with the council. But if they're celebrating, that's good. But we are celebrating with the council and everybody in the city from last 5 years. And sharing our thoughts of Indian culture. That's what we're doing it. So thanks a lot for Happy Diwali. I appreciate your recognition this Diwali festival. And we're also celebrating one more thing today. It's a one birthday party. So we're celebrating birthday party. We all can say happy birthday to you. And I know who's that. So we can say one time, happy birthday to, please say happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Birthday.
So we are celebrating to Teresa. Teresa, this is a great day for you and we're celebrating with you. And I have a small wording for you. Today, night came after a long time. Today meeting is very special meeting. Today guest came from short distance and far distance. Because tonight is your special day, your birthday. So thank you and happy birthday, Teresa. Thank you very much. Yeah, also a video for that. Sorry. So this is where we celebrate.
This is Ayodhya. This is Ayodhya. This is Ayodhya.
Yeah, this one. Yeah. Okay. So we have some Indian community friends over here. So we have my wife is there, and we have Gopal, and we have a Bhatt over here, and we are celebrating with some friends. Some friend is going. Please come over here. Come on, Miss Boy. Some friends came from Bank of America. I think they are left already. Okay, okay, come. Brent Cooper has to come over here. Come on, Brent, come on. Brent Cooper helped us all the time from last 15 years together. And Mark Joseph, please come over here, Mark. Please come here. Please come here. And also Leon Garcia, he was with us all the time.
Actually, we used to do, we started like a Diwali celebrating in American Canyon almost 15 years ago. First, we were just doing a Diwali festival, and then we changed the Diwali festival to multicultural program. So we have been doing for a very long time, but after the COVID, it's kind of a fade away. And next year, we are going to bring Diwali festival as a cultural festival, multicultural festival. We will bring next year, and we will like to have everybody's support, Thank you.
So thank you very much. So our Indian festival must have in the end, some food. So we have a cake, and we have some samosas and some Indian sweets, spice and sweets. So please I welcome everybody to come over there and celebrate this event and this Diwali. So happy Diwali to everybody. Thank you.
We'll take a 10-minute break and then go out, and then we'll be back in here by 8 o'clock for the rest of our.
Picture.
Oh, the picture.
Sure.
At this time, open up comment.
Sorry, Mayor, I just have to get things going again here. Okay, so we are back. 8:05. Okay. Okay, I do have speaker cards for public comment.
Okay.
Yvonne Baginski.
Good evening,
Good evening,
Mayor and
Yvonne.
City Council. Good evening. I'm just here today to address on the business section, on the notice of intent to submit an application.
Just a second. Sorry, Beth, we have to leave that door open. Beth? Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Okay, I'm going to respond to the mitigation
Mayor,
bank.
this is for non-agendized items. So sorry if there's any confusion. This is for non-agenda items.
Correct.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just put down.
We kind of moved the calendar around a little this morning. So now we're back to the very start of public comment for items that are not on agenda. So there'll be
So here's my question. if I'm asking for the notice of intent to submit an application to be pulled off of the agenda, do I ask for it now or do I ask for it?
We're going to hear that business item in a moment. It'll be heard here in a moment. We're doing regular public
So I'm
comment.
to sit down.
Are you talking about a consent item?
No, she's talking about business item number 9.
Talking about a business item,
Okay.
and I'm going to ask, so I'll sit down until you
Yep.
call me back. Okay.
That comment card is for item 9.
She also, she had the non-agenda item too. That's okay.
It's fine.
Okay.
A little bit of confusion. That's for comment number
All
9.
right. I have Leon Garcia.
Thank you. Good evening, Council, Mayor. I just wanted to comment likewise on the Wall That Heals. What an incredible project that was. I'm so very, very proud of our community. It was very, parts of it were a very solemn occasion when you can identify people you know who were casualties in that war. I did have a chance to talk with a veteran. Having spent some time in the 70s, 60s and 70s when this was going on, the reception when many of the military came home was not anything to be proud of. A lot of them were, frankly, abused. I was talking with the veteran, Vietnam veteran there. It took him 25 years to even begin to talk about what he had done. Some had the ability to change into civilian clothes before they left the base. And that's not a proud moment for, but now we move on. It's a great celebration. I'd like to thank very much everybody who helped participate in that. Hugh Marquez, Beth Marcus are here. I helped assist with putting the wall up and taking it down. City staff, incredible, thank you. Thank you for that effort to bring this to American Canyon. And Sunday afternoon, thank you, American Canyon football team. Wow, a lot of energetic labor there to pull all the parts down. But you can't help but feel something emotional inside. You touch that wall and you realize 58,281 people. No, with a contingent of nurses there. 8 nurses had been casualties of that. And in my professional world in mental health, dealing a lot with patients with PTSD related to their experience and trying to find a way to express it, to deal with it in a way that's positive. We had a clinical director from a very large veterans hospital on the East Coast come over to Yountville Veterans Home when I was there. It was a clinical discussion, medical staff and the nursing staff present. And it was very moving. I have a sense there was not a dry eye in the room when he talked about this one individual who was dealing with this grief. So I'm very proud personally for this. I'm very thankful, very deeply thankful for those of you who brought it here. That helps us also address it from our personal perspective. Thank you again.
Thank you, Leon.
Hugh Marquez.
My name is Hugh Marquez. I want to thank the mayor, vice mayor, council, city manager. I want to talk about the Wall That Heals. I want to thank all that helped to get this accomplished. Again, I want to foremost thank Jen Kassenbach for getting this whole thing rolling. Her forethought and love for our small growing city, for putting us in contention to get this wall here to our city in American Canyon, and to have our Parks Director, Ali Akita, taking the ball and sealing the deal. As the volunteer coordinator for this event, I wanted to personally thank Ali, Alana, Skylar, Alana Ben, Skylar Padilla, and Jeffrey Freed. They were there anytime I needed them, and they handled themselves very professionally. I don't know what the background was, but in the front, it looked, everything seemed to run very smoothly. To Beth, you were the front and center throughout the whole thing. I saw you as much as you saw me. I want to thank you for being there for my father for the ceremony. You were right there by him, and I wouldn't have wanted him but to be next to anyone else but you. Thank you. To the wonderful citizens in our community who volunteered their time. They helped make this a wonderful success. I talked to Tim and George, the leaders of this event, and they were impressed by our community's involvement and the wide selection of good food that they were able to indulge in while they were here, so they didn't have to leave. I want to shout out to the Coach Wilkins and the Wolfpack football team, Karina Cervante, for help taking the wall down during the process. They did it with much respect, and it was good to see our high school team step up and do that. To the American Canyon Police Department, shoot, Jeff Scott did an amazing job and getting this wall escorted down. The freeway was closed. We had 1 and 2 lane the whole way, and when we had to cross, they closed the freeway down so we could go. It was a once in a lifetime experience for me to do that. Again, I want to thank all the volunteers, all the city staff, and everybody for being part of this great event, and I felt very privileged to be part of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Hugh.
Jeanette Goetz.
Good evening, Mayor Washington, members of the council, and members of the public. My name is Jeanette Goyetch, longtime American Canyon resident. Tonight, I would like to thank all those responsible for bringing the wall that heals to American Canyon. I imagine it must have been a tremendous undertaking, and I'm learning tonight it was, taking months of planning and hours of volunteer work. I grew up during the Vietnam War. I did not know of anyone personally from my hometown of Watertown, Massachusetts, who was killed during the war. But when we were reminded at the wall that over 58,000 Americans were killed in the war, my heart was once again reminded of the horror of war. Lives lost from death, others survived, but suffered years of physical or mental pain, such as the PTSD, as my dear friend Joe suffers to this day. After 50 years, his mind will not let him forget the war. I visited the wall 3 times. The first day I was alone, early Thursday. It was foggy and for me appropriate to be alone in my sad memories. Later that day, I visited the wall with my husband, a vet from the Vietnam era, my daughter, and her 17-month-old son. And the third time was with my dear friend on the last morning on Sunday. All 3 times were special and left me with a different feeling, but all somber and saddened. The volunteers all 3 times were very nice and informative, but what struck me the hardest was the time my little grandson was with us. He ran around the beautiful green grass at Independence Park with no idea the significance of what the wall had, just as happy as he could be. Vietnam War lasted 20 years for America's involvement. I fear the United States could get into another war anytime soon and could last years, and my grandson and other grandsons and granddaughters could be involved. One other thing that struck me were the 8 servicewomen who were killed in the war. There were white flowers and their pictures under their name on the wall. The first woman I saw was from Brighton, Massachusetts, the city right next to my hometown. Not my hometown, but very close. The architect of the wall was a young 21-year-old Maya Ying Lin from Athens, Ohio. She's an American-born of parents who were Chinese immigrants. As I've learned, there was dispute as to whether her design would be accepted because of her race and youth. Thank goodness the judges decided unanimously on May 1st, 1981 to accept her design. I've been to the wall in DC 2 times and always a somber time. I've been to the wall in AC 3 times and always somber. But I'm grateful for the wall that heals came to United American Canyon for those vets and families who may never get to see the wall in DC. Thank you once again to all who made it happen.
Thank you, Jeanette.
Barry Christian.
Thank you. Which one's on? Is that on? Okay. Is this general public comment, regular comment?
Yes.
Okay, okay. So 2 things. Number 1, thank you for repaving Rio Del Mar from West Carolina out to Highway 29. It's a short bike ride for me to Le Paris, but it's just so much nicer to ride on smooth pavement instead of just boom, 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 boom. That's one thing. And number 2, I just completed the annual conservation easement monitoring report for the land trust. I've been doing that for a long time. And so I had a nice 4-hour walk with Jeffrey Freed from the city going over the whole property. And I just wanted to compliment the city. The roads are looking a lot better. I think in terms of, I've watched this for 20 years and I think they're about in the best shape now that I've seen them. The contractor that did the grading, I think did a nice job. I'm hoping it holds up in the rain, that we don't get too much rain before it can harden up. But it's pretty easy to traverse it now. And some of the rock from the projects that have been done, the volunteer projects led by the city, putting rock in to mix it with that soft clay that's up there, those areas are starting to harden up. And so I'm hoping that those will hold up in the rains also. And so it's looking pretty good up there. I think Jeff Freed is doing a great job, and Ally and Public Works with those projects that they did. So I just wanted to compliment the city on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Barry.
I have no more speaker cards. I do have 1 hand raised online.
You want to mention that?
Is there a way, I'm getting some feedback that people at home can't hear or that the audio is breaking up. Is there any kind of easy, quick checks to?
I know we were having some issues with YouTube. So do you know if they're watching on YouTube, how they're watching?
Probably on TV, channel 28.
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then Madam Clerk, anybody online?
Yes, I do. Justin Hamilton Hole. Go ahead, Justin.
Thank you, Teresa. Good evening, Mayor County. I want to shout out, thank you for mailing me a letter. I'll be looking for that lot of work in 2027, 2028. And I want to shout out a spirit horse, and I think Erica team doing good work out there. So thank you all. I'm looking for on the hill in 2027. Thank you.
Thank you, Justin.
I have no other hands raised online.
Thank you. And Fran?
Yeah, Fran Lemus. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
First, I'd like to thank you for bringing the scooter out at the wall, because without that, I wouldn't have been able to see as much as I had. And I'd like to say how proud I was of our city from the beginning to the end of this time. I'm really proud that we have such wonderful people here, young people that are interested in the city, and they're making it as wonderful as it is. So thank you to everybody that's here in our city and how much we all love it. So good job for the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Fran. Seeing no other hands raised for public comment, I'll close public comment and move to agenda changes. Are there any agenda changes from council?
I think we did them all.
Yeah. Hearing none, I'll accept the motion to accept.
So
the-
moved. So moved.
Second,
I'll second.
thank you. Madam Clerk, can you do a roll call, please?
Councilmember Cruz,
Yes.
Councilmember Lamatina,
Yes.
Councilmember Oro,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Joseph,
Yes.
Mayor Washington.
Yes. We'll move on to public hearing. We don't actually have anything for public hearing this evening. Next, we'll move to the business item. We have one business item, item number 11, Watson Ranch Specific Plan Implementation. And we have a speaker, I believe, Mr. Terry McGrath.
Mayor, I'm going to start by going through the staff report, and then we have some questions I think maybe that the council might have, but sorry with the mayor, I'll go ahead and start with the staff report.
That's fine.
Give me 1 second. Apologies for that. And we're getting a couple people put up on the Zoom screen there, also looking for Will. Yeah, perfect. Thank you. We're good, Juan. Juan, we're good. Just hand those on.
Yeah.
TV feed display.
Great. Thank you. All righty, I think we're settled now. The item before the council is an update on the implementation of the Watson Ranch specific plan and the council's potential consideration of one or more minute orders related to notices of intent related to entertainment zones, public rail crossings, and mitigation banks. But before we get into that, we wanted to kind of understand of where we are today, this plan that we're implementing and how it came to be. And it was really quite a remarkable process. Went back into the history of American Canyon and sort of came up with the sort of the document trail, if you will, about the process that led us to where we are today. We don't have a town center at the moment anyway, but that's not uncommon for cities of our age. We were incorporated in 1992. And so this idea around a town center was first thought about when our founding figures incorporated the city. 1994 is when they memorialized that. And attachment 1 shows the preferred location at it was then the Standard Portland Cement / Basalt Rock Company's former cement factory or cement plant and quarry. And that was already within the original city limits. One of American Canyon's stories is one of growth. And so we've grown over the years beyond our original city limits. And the planning for that town center project began about a decade later. And by the 2000s, the council was considering a specific plan for this town center. It was a much smaller concept at the time, the 30 some odd acres that were in city limits, plus another 70 or so that were inside of our urban limit line, but not in city limits yet. And that was part of the process, part of the thought process at the time was the need to have these adjacent lands help financially support the project. Attachment 2 shows some of those early conceptual renderings. The council at the time did not actually adopt that specific plan, but those were the processes that were brought to council for consideration. At that point in time, it really became clear that even that size of a project wasn't going to be sustainable enough, and additional territory was needed. And so by the late 2000s, American Canyon and Napa were negotiating an expansion to the urban limit line to roughly what it is today. And there was a voter initiative that was adopted by the city council And that set the stage for an agreement between the city council and American Canyon to help the county reach its affordable housing goals and water supply to the unincorporated area, and set the stage for additional annexations, which were accomplished in late 2010. 315 acres were annexed into American Canyon. And attachment 4 is the LAFCO proceedings. LAFCO is the agency that approves annexations. And at that point, this project had gotten even bigger, and so really doubling in size, and so additional planning processes were needed. And that's what later became this Watson Ranch specific plan. And from 2012 to 2018, a 13-member Citizens Advisory Committee helped facilitate many public and private planning sessions, and a lot of public input was involved. And so it was at that point in 2018 that the specific plan was adopted. That shows up in attachment 5. It's a comprehensive document, 309 acres. It's the area north of Vintage Ranch, the area east of the railroad tracks, north up to city limit lines. And it has the new residential neighborhoods generally ringing around the Napa Valley Ruins and Gardens. Unfortunately, after that plan had been adopted, a third-party challenge presented itself related to CEQA and environmental laws and things. And so we spent the better part of a year or so trying to settle those issues. And it was in mid-2019 that the council adopted 2 ordinances related to really that stage of that plan. 1,439 dwelling units, 176,000 square feet of commercial space, 58,000 additional square feet, 200-unit hotel, and an amphitheater. Unfortunately, mid-2019 was just right around the corner was this global pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic. And so really the trajectory of Watson Ranch was altered by the pandemic. Fortunately, the council had already approved a development agreement with one of the developers, American Canyon One LLC, or AC1, and representatives are here tonight, that had the foreshadow to have the duration of time to be able to respond to different conditions that existed. And that agreement is shown as attachment 6. Later in 2023, the specific plan was amended to reflect some of the accomplishments that had occurred, and that's in attachment 7. So to date, what has happened? Quite a bit, actually. 6 different residential projects are approved. Upwards of 880 dwelling units are entitled or already are entitled for construction. About 415 have been completed or inhabited, and another are still 26 are actively in construction. There's also approvals in place for a 200-room hotel with conference facilities, a large amphitheater of 3,300 seats, and an 800-seat amphitheater. And also, as proof of concept for these amphitheaters, temporary concert uses are approved, and I'll get back to that in a moment. Attachment 8 gives a chronology of all of the activities that the Planning Commission and the City Council and their approvals. And this table that shows up on page 25 of your packet lists all the projects and their names and the home builders and so forth. So I mentioned before this proof of concept, and really quite a remarkable scene unfolded just a few weeks ago at the Napa Valley Ruins and Gardens. Blue Note, a concert promoter, held their fall series, and they had 4 events inside the Ruins and Gardens. These concert events, according to the promoters and attendees, have been a resounding success, and there are a couple more planned next week. There are other businesses looking to relocate here, primarily breweries, winery, and distillery, also a coffee provider. And one of the things that could help the relocation of these businesses and really even more add more kind of energy to the area would be the creation of an entertainment zone. Something the mayor and I learned about even on Friday as we met with our colleagues in Yountville. They already have established an entertainment zone on Washington Street. So we won't even be the first one in Napa County, unfortunately. But these are becoming more and more popular as a tool for addressing some of the unique issues related to alcohol sales and alcohol consumption and public rights of way. Some really archaic old laws, and this legislation kind of allows the process to go around some of those. There's also a sculpture garden, art pieces, and some other things that are in the works for next year. And I don't want to steal too much of the thunder. We have the developer here who's going to be able to tell you more about what can be expected. But we'll just suffice it to say that the events from this fall were very successful, and we expect more of them to come in 2026. One of the issues that's continuing to be something to be addressed relates to getting to the highway itself from Napa Valley Ruins and Gardens and from the Watson Ranch specific plan. Right now, you can't get across the tracks. You have to go around to the south. So, what's the right route to get back and forth? This is important because being able to have food and beverage and retail offerings and all of those, and not have that be linked to events, being able to have them outside of event times is going to rely on customers. And it won't just be residents of American Canyon that will be customers. As noted earlier, we already have a lot of good places for food and things. So being able to have customers from outside the area come here is going to be needed, and they would access it primarily from the highway. That would be the most expedient. So how do you get across the highway? Again, like I said, there's no current crossings, but there's some new legislation that has been passed that creates some more streamlined processes with PUC. And staff is recommending that we start to engage in that process and look at completing those applications and then submitting them to the PUC. That would start with a notice of intent to the Public Utilities Commission. I should note there's a couple of recommendations here around these notices of intent, but the council doesn't have to take action on any of those tonight. There's no, I call it an impending deadline or any requirement necessarily. It's an action you could take. It's a demonstrated action, but there's no requirements. As it relates to the notion of mitigation banks, there was an open space that's been created, a conservation easement that's been recorded, and there's a desire to try and recover costs from that process. We think going through a mitigation bank program is a pathway for making that happen, and so the Department of Fish and Wildlife is the agency that oversees mitigation banks, and these are tools that are used to offset costs and to monetize these kind of things. So again, staff recommends that we kind of start that process with Department of Fish and Wildlife. Just lastly, on some of the fiscal aspects of the project showing up on page 28. AC1 has made substantial investments in infrastructure, and I'm sure they're prepared to talk more about that, but roughly $30.5 million in what we call master backbone infrastructure. These are kind of the main roads, if you want to think of them that way, that people are coming to and from the specific plan. And then at least 18 million in what you would characterize as in-tract infrastructure. And these would be like the small neighborhood streets that folks drive on to get to and from their houses. And so part of those costs helped fund an affordable housing project, which was really the first of its kind in the Napa Valley. This is the Lemos Point project. It was also supported by some infill infrastructure grant funding from the HCD, California Department of Housing and Community Development. And that's funding on an ongoing basis from the California Tax Credit Allocation Committee. That's what paid for the vertical construction and the ongoing operations. There's 186 units that are available for the low and very low classifications, which in our area is between 30 and 60% of the area median income, which is 146, so 146,000. So I think it's important to note that the actual construction of these units exceeded whatever the requirements were in the development agreement for AC1. The sale of finished lots to home builders are what help recoup the cost of infrastructure and are also reinvested into the ruins and gardens. Some of the costs for this infrastructure is also financed by the California Statewide Community Development Authority, CSCDA, and attachment 13 shows the mitigation bank program and has more details. I'm sorry, not the mitigation program. It shows the SKIP program, which is what CSCDA's program is. And if there are more questions about how CSCDA financing works, those financings are repaid by the eventual homeowners as part of their property tax assessments. That's kind of all I have here, kind of paraphrasing the staff report. I'm sure the council has questions. I might be able to answer some of them. I know the applicant here, developer here, was well positioned to answer those questions also. So unless the council has anything specifically from me, it might be appropriate to ask them to come up and answer some of those questions.
Thank you, Mr. Holly. Vice Mayor Joseph.
Yes. Thank you for the report. And it was nice going through, memory lane, because I've been around through most of those changes over the time. Moving to the fiscal impact report, your staff report talks about the capital investment, which has been sizable, but there's an operating component as well. And I know that we did a fiscal model when we did the original development agreement, and then we recently updated it. And so my question is, on an operating basis, when you look at what we anticipate in terms of the ruins, town center, and housing, what's the operating bottom line based on that updated fiscal model?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what you're getting at, Mark, but I think so. Yes, we have updated the fiscal impact analysis. We did a fiscal impact analysis for the development agreement. We've since updated it based on, and so that was 2019. And so at the time when the council approved the development agreement, included in that was this fiscal impact analysis. And we've gone back now, whatever that was, 5-6 years later, to check out some of the assumptions and some of the how things have played out based on the assumptions of the previous model. And so just in general in California, housing as it relates to cities and their general funds is a net loser. So all housing projects in California generally cost the city more on an operational basis than other projects. And that's because we are in the service providing business. That's what we do here. We provide services. We don't make things. We don't manufacture things or sell them. All we do is provide services, and we provide services to people. And so the more people that you have, the more costs that you have. And so every housing project in California, you might generate some property tax, but other than that, very few projects in California, residential projects, generate enough property tax to cover the cost of the services that are provided. And as the case in the Watson Ranch project as well, the original development agreement and the fiscal analysis showed a very positive aspect to this particular project, which is kind of unique. This project has a commercial component, it has a sales tax component, it has a transit occupancy tax, a hotel tax component, unique out of any project that American Canyon has ever had as far as residential projects. And so that fiscal impact analysis showed basically a break even sort of during the period of the development agreement, which was 30 years. As you got to the very, very outlying years, that actually showed a very positive operating cost. And that was because we had gotten through some of the unique aspects of the agreement and some of the revenue sharing that's in there. As we look at some of the newer modeling, the fact that the hotel isn't open yet, and the fact that the sales tax hasn't happened yet, those delayed revenues certainly have an effect on an overall projection, right? So if you were projecting a certain amount of revenue, a certain amount of costs, and they're going to break even, those revenues don't show up, then your picture shows more expenses than revenues. And so, I think as with all kinds of modeling and all kinds of forecasts, they come with this sort of caveat that they are just projections. So we haven't gone back and done an actuarial study on the differential between 2019, 2025, sort of taken out the inflationary aspects, which wouldn't have had anything to do with this particular project, and kind of compared our expenses. It's clear that we can show the revenue projections haven't come in because those aspects haven't come to fruition. We haven't done a corollary to the operating costs. We've been in an inflationary environment. We've seen an increase in operating costs. We don't know how much to attribute that to inflation versus the increase in population of the residents that have shown up in this initial phase. We talked about the pandemic sort of affecting things. home sales haven't been as robust as folks had originally hoped, and that's related to sort of the inflationary environment post-COVID, as you look at the monetary policy that the government had during COVID. So a lot of things are different than what were anticipated and modeled in 2019. So I think, that's a very long-winded way of saying, I think in summary, this project does a lot better than most residential projects because it has a component of sales tax and has a component of TOT that can be built in there when they show up. Other projects, particularly affordable housing projects, where we get no property tax. If we want to think about things that really hurt the bottom line, Napa Cove, for example, affordable housing project on the highway contributes 0 property tax, and we have 86 units worth of residents there. So we look at things that are contributing to our bottom line are those kinds of things are certainly a challenge, and they're offset by, and why American Canyon is well positioned for the future is the balance that we have. We have a very large industrial sector for our size city, and they demand very few services relative to the amount of property taxes they pay. So we have this sort of balance with our industrial area as well as our commercial area generating some sales tax that offsets the fact that residential uses are generally a net loser, although in the case of the specific plan, less of a net loser than the rest of them.
Okay. Well, from my perspective, the whole rationale behind the specific plan was that we were including this town center that was an economic engine and would help finance the residential, which, as you pointed out, generally doesn't make money. And in fact, part of the rationale was the residential may not make money from a city's perspective, but the developer, the home builders, can certainly make money, and that revenue could be the money that's plowed back into the project. And so there's kind of a synergy between the Ruins Town Center and all the additional residential. And because the Ruins are a little behind schedule, it does create an operational challenge right now. And so where I'm really coming from is not to be just critical for the sake of being critical, but to set the stage for saying we've got to start looking at something that can augment the revenue stream that's missing because the hotel isn't going to show up as soon as we thought, and some of the retail and sales aren't going to show up. So I'm just throwing it out there. We've got to start thinking of some things. Some of them could be, since it's an event venue of sorts, the possibility of an admissions tax that help augment the city's general fund, or other ideas. So I guess that's my point, is right now, the ongoing revenue and expenditure stream is an area that should be of some concern to the council and to the community, because it isn't playing out as quickly as we anticipated. And so I'm just suggesting we've got to start looking at something that can help augment the bottom line for the city. That was really my point.
Okay.
Any other questions from council? Seeing none, did you want Mr. McGrath to come?
Yeah, if y'all wouldn't mind, I think the council has some questions that you might be better prepared to answer.
Welcome, Mr. McGrath.
Good evening, Mayor, fellow city council members, Terrence McGrath. I'll come back to some of the comments on the Councilmember Joseph's comments about being behind and admission taxes and some of these other things. City Manager Jason Hall, I appreciate the questions that you sent us this afternoon. And so I have CBG Will Carlson on Zoom somewhere, as well as Skylar Sanders, my general counsel. And so I have in front of me, I think the council probably has them, I think 10 questions. And we didn't have a lot of time to prepare in terms of trying to answer these questions, so I'll just sort of take them in as best we can. And then pause me in the interim if there's things that you would like to get more information on and go a little deeper on. So first question was, what can the residents expect to experience at the Napa Valley Ruins and Gardens in 2026? And what is your vision long-term? So this is my 21st year on this project, and just a small little bit of time. In 2026, I think, so we've tested, the arrangement with Blue Note's promoter was to test 10 shows this fall. I don't think we're going to do 10. I know we're not going to do 10. We've done 3 so far. And then Halloween weekend, we're going to do back-to-back shows. So I think we'll probably finish at 5. We might get a 6th one in, depending on weather. But they've been incredibly informative. Over the course of those 5 shows, it'll bring about 10,000 people to town. And it's 10,000 people that, frankly, probably majority of them have never visited American Canyon, have never visited the wine country, Napa County. In 2026, I think, we're working on the 26th season right now. And we tested EDM. It was an easy genre within the music industry to test because Blue Note got a late start, frankly, in the 25 season. But each event sort of somewhere is average, somewhere, plus or minus somewhere between 1,500 to 2,000 people. And if you've watched online with some of the Reddit comments and some of the social media comments, TikTok, et cetera, super positive. And if you talk to Fire Chief Belia or Police Chief Rick Greenberg, there's been virtually no incidents, which has been incredible. But the 26th season, I think we'll probably be in the 25 to 30 shows. And my sense is it'll cover different genres. For instance, today I had the Oakland Symphony there. And some of you might ask, why the Oakland Symphony? Well, the Oakland Symphony was the symphony that played for Andrea Bocelli at Krug this summer. And I attended that. And it was one of the most moving events I've ever been to in my life. And I've been to Grand Prix, World Series, NBA championships, you name it. But the Oakland Symphony was the symphonic music for the concert. So they have a new conductor, 33 years old, Kedrick Armstrong. And I reached out to him a couple weeks ago and I just said, hey, this was my experience at Krug. I just would love to connect with you. My home base is still Oakland. That's where my offices are. Then I sent him some of our social media posts and he responded within minutes and just said, oh my God, when can I come up and look at this place? So his CEO and Kedrick came out, met today, and we spent a couple of hours walking around the site right after the meeting I had with you and the mayor. And it was just incredible. It was just one of these things that, I after the first Cascade show on my way home, it was late, and it was exhausting. Nate Heidorf, who's here, and Jeff Yeager's here. Just the team around us. We'd worked tirelessly for 45 days to bring that show to life. And on the way home, I was just sort of thinking to myself, am I still living a dream, or am I living now the manifestation of my dream? And if it wasn't for the fact that I had a lot of friends and family there at that show, I would think that I was still living a dream. But the bottom line is, because of all these social media posts, obviously it's not a dream. So I sent those to the conductor for the Oakland Symphony. He spent the 2 hours there, and it just was this amazing conversation about all these possibilities, and where we would, in theory, potentially be the home base for a summer series with Oakland Symphony. And in the process, he mentioned to me, he goes, there's an artist out there that I would love to do a joint music event with. Obviously, this is the symphony. And I said, who's the artist? He goes, oh, this person, you've probably never heard of him, LaRussell. I said, oh, here. I showed him my phone. On the text chain, it was the number 2 text on my phone was LaRussell, because we'd just been texting earlier that day back and forth. And again, none of this happens by happenstance. There's no coincidences. It's all energy. So the 26th season, back to the 26th season, it could be a lot more shows. And these are just what I would say are ticketed events. These are not what I would call, for instance, Dreamforce just ended their week in San Francisco. To me, we'll end up doing probably a couple, 2, 3, 4 corporate events where they come in and they may rent all of the ruins for a day or two and, put on a big worldwide conference there, or maybe a big Christmas party for their employees. So in addition to the ticketed events, we're going to bring the sculpture garden online. And I know some of you, we've talked about this, behind closed doors. This is just to give you some context of scale. This is something that does not exist in the world. I have not seen a sculpture garden like the one we're envisioning. So think of the scale that's at Burning Man here on having a permanent home. So we already put up one piece from Dana Albany on the entrance coming into the venue. It has a big box around it right now. It stands 15 feet. It's called Passage. That's the first piece you see when you're walking across from the hotel parking lot into the ruins. And it's not a permanent location for it, but it's just, we had a big 10-ton piece of concrete block sitting there, and we were trying to figure out what to do with it. And we're like, let's take this piece and put it up. But the first real significant piece in the garden, fingers crossed, will be Marco Cochran's piece. His piece Evolution is sitting at the end of Market Street right now. It's 45 feet tall. And he is probably arguably one of the top 3, 4, 5 most successful Burning Man artists, or artists of his generation that deals on that kind of scale. This piece is called Gaia. It's sitting on a rooftop right now at 16th and Van Ness, or 14th and Van Ness in San Francisco. You can Google Earth it, and you can see Gaia sitting up on top of the roof. It's complicated to get the piece down. It was meant to be there temporarily. Waymo rented the lot next door for their major charging station for San Francisco. So we're working out a deal with Waymo to shut the lot down for 30 minutes so we can lift the piece off the roof and put it on a truck. And we looked at all kinds of different options, helicopters, you name it, to try to get this piece up here. So that's going to sit on top of the pavilion. That will be the centerpiece inside the sculpture garden. Inside the sculpture garden will be beer, wine, food, activities. In theory, it's available to the public. It'll be on a limited basis in 26. Our idea is that it's open probably Saturdays and Sundays, noon to 5, noon to 6. It's separately fenced. It'll be accessed off of the Ruins parking lot. So it'll be accessed off of South Napa Junction. And, at this stage, we're not planning on charging for admissions. I mean, at some point in time, I think, come back to your comment, Mark, potentially there will be a charge. But the idea behind it is you're going to be able to grab a glass of wine, grab a beer, walk in this amazing garden, and have food, have activities. We'll have a children's play structure inside of this. So in theory, you can come there with a family. You can come there with multiple, generations, first, second, third gen, and everybody can be doing something slightly different, but you're inside of a secured area with, great food and great beverages. That will be online. The goal is to have 15 to 20 pieces in that garden. We're a little behind. The piece in San Francisco we thought we could have it in place by the Cascade show, but because of the Waymo parking lot, it's just become way more complicated. But I'm not giving up on it because it's 45 feet long, it's 12 feet tall, it's 15 feet wide, it has 10,000 lights in it, it's transparent. It's truly, I think it's as impactful as some of the stuff we've already done with social media. I think this will be one of the most impactful things we ever do in terms of sort of setting cadence to the next part of this project. There's some other things that I think that will come online in 26. I don't have as much clarity on them because, again, we're not building a cookie cutter project. We're not building a power center. We're not building strip centers. We're not building some generic conventional type of commercial retail space. This is, when we're done, frankly, you'd be hard pressed to find anything like this in the world. And frankly, that's why it's taken 21 years to get to today. And it's going to take another decade to get it to a point where it's generating plenty of revenue for Mr. Joseph. And he's happy that it's there, as well as the hotel tax. So, any questions on 2026? Again, I think there'll be other things that will come online, you know, uh, Jason talked about the brewery, the winery, and the distillery and the coffee. So I own the licensing rights to Napa Valley Coffee. And obviously Napa Valley Coffee has a location in downtown Napa. And, you know, we plan to bring Napa Valley Coffee to the ruins. I own a very large distillery just over here on Dodd Court. And we're, you know, that distillery in some shape or form will be inside the ruins in the next 24 months. We've picked 200 tons of grapes over the last 10 days. This morning I showed a picture or video to the mayor I was out there at 5:45 with some of the crews, and we were picking Oakville Organic Cab from the Hoxley Ranch, which is Napa Wine Company. And the previous week, we picked 100 tons up from the Calistoga Ranch. And so this is all wine that we're looking at for the 27, 28, 29 seasons. So we've picked essentially, I don't know, somewhere in the neighborhood of probably 15,000 cases worth over the last 10 days. And then Old Can Brewery, all that will be online for May in the Sculpture Garden. And then in terms of food, I think what we'll continue to do is just, we won't have a permanent food menu. I think we're going to continue to move different types of food menus in and out of there on a modular basis, predominantly food trucks. Things like restrooms we're putting in, you know, we'll continue to use modular restrooms just because it's I think a lot cheaper. These are not construction restrooms. These will be platformed restrooms that, you know, are very, very high quality. But my sense is that some things will unfold over the next 6 months that probably will add pieces to this that I'm happy to come back and tell you about and share with you. But I would tell you, all things being equal, it's the most exciting thing I've ever worked on in my life. And it's truly a dream to be sitting here hanging out with the conductor of the Oakland Symphony and having a three-way conversation with LaRussell, who's one of the most successful rap artists in the world, and he's based here right in Vallejo, and he's completely self-made. So, no, unless there's any more questions on that, I'll move to 2.
You answered like 1, 2, and 3 already from this one.
Well, so on improvements, you know, if you're out, I was over there with Nate, you know, right before city council started. We're planting another 40 olive trees. So all of the ring around Rio, all the way to Rolling Hills Drive, will be planted on the exterior. Obviously, you can see the exterior fence is up. And then we're going to plant another 20 trees or so inside the ruins over the next 10 days. The biggest true lift, which, you know, Jason mentioned earlier, we've put about 50 million into infrastructure over the last 4 years. You know, unfortunately, most of that people can't see. You know, it's your dry and wet utilities. It's, as Erica's shaking her head back there, it's pump stations, it's getting under railroad tracks, it's connecting to Highway 29, the storm detention basins, it's streets, it's curbs, it's all the stuff that's not very sexy. But if you don't have it, the toilet doesn't flush and the faucet doesn't turn on. And so that same process now is going to happen inside the ruins. We're going to put down about $10 million worth of underground dry and wet utilities here starting on November 3rd. And so that by April 15th, May 1 of next year, you know, those restrooms can be plugged into real sewer. They can be plugged into real water. There'll be, you know, not generators. There'll be real power for all the different things we're doing, including these events. And, you know, just to give you some idea of scale, I mean, these are 8, 10, 12-inch water or pipes of some nature on the wet side. And these go down as deep as 15, 20 feet. So a lot of our EVAs and stuff like that we've put up temporarily, we're going to tear those apart over the next 4 or 5 months. Just trying to think other, yeah, that covers the second question. The third question is, what did I learn from the Blue Note fall series? it's been fascinating. And over the past 3 years, I've sort of immersed myself into what I would call the promoted side of music, the operator side of music, knowing that we were going to get into it, as we are today. So Another Planet, Live Nation, Blue Note, AEG, Nederlander, Oakview Group, all these companies I spent a ton of time with over the last 3 years and have visited venues all over the West. And for instance, I had the Red Rocks GM out here with his wife last summer for 4 days, just picking their brains about these different venues. And then I was also looking at venues that I think are really interesting, like Red Rocks or Hollywood Bowl or the Old Greek and so on and so forth. So I've been a part of each show. I've been there really just observing. And it's been a big part of my life, especially over the last 45 years in my business life. Just watching, listening to see how people use things, see how things work, things how don't work. So one of the first things I learned is I don't like the parking arrangement on Malin and how it stacks up. And even though it's only 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 cars deep, if I'm a neighbor and I'm going into off of Marcus, if I'm going into the Harvest neighborhood or I'm going to Lemos Point, I don't want to wait behind 10 cars. And so I think, what we're going to do is change how we stack those cars. I think the other thing that probably does make sense is that we have a sticker program for the neighbors that are either in Watson Ranch or past the project, so that you can wave somebody through quickly because you'll see a sticker on their car. But that was just, putting myself in the shoes or the car of somebody who lives on the north side of the project. I don't want to get queued up on Malin at 3 o'clock in the afternoon if I'm not going to that show. One of the other things, again, during these events, I'm moving all over the place. I'm watching security, I'm watching trash, I'm watching restrooms, I'm watching how everything's being used, and including, watching cars go past the parking lot like they're residents, and then they're out in the neighborhoods trying to poach parking. So I know that we have to do a better job of preventing that event attendee from getting into the neighborhoods. And again, if I lived there, I wouldn't want someone parking in front of my house and walking in. And so I think there's definitely ways to do that. Especially, I think we can work with AC Police on a enforcement program. And again, all that stuff is just intended you're never not going to have some element of friction, but it's just intended to try to minimize it and keep it on the scale of 1 to 10 to keep it at a 1. The other thing, I think in 26, I would love to figure out how we do I think it's more of a citywide program where a certain number of tickets to these events are allocated to community members, and at some price that it's different than the price that's offered on the first run. I'm not talking about the secondary market, the StubHub, Vivid Seat type market. I'm talking about the first run market, and I think that will continue to promote a real symbiotic bond between us and the community, especially depending on the shows. Like some people, I could care less about going to see Cascade versus, oh, it's the Oakland Symphony, I want to go, see their piece on Beethoven. And so those are some of the things I'm watching. I think, one of the interesting takeaways on the fence, and this was watching the first Cascade show. We had 200 or 300 fans that were there lined up outside waiting in the sun. And they queued up along the fence, and the fence provided shade. And I thought, wow, did not think about that. And so, you're looking at it from both, how can you run it more efficiently? Also, how can you make the patrons' experience as good as possible, as well as how can you make the community's experience as good as possible? So those are the things always going through my mind. Chief Greenberg and I were talking earlier about sound. I'm constantly monitoring sound on my own DBA, decibel check. And I've known this already because we've done so many sound studies. But even on some of these EDM venues, especially the last one with Sub Focus, that was a specific genre within EDM called bass and drum. Or drum and bass, thank you. It was mind blowing to be on stage and feel the stage like lifting, feeling like it was lifting 2 or 3 inches off the ground just because of the bass. But again, I went into the neighborhoods, I was like, I can't even hear it. So there'll be a lot of takeaways. I keep a running list of every show, and we don't necessarily get every single one of them done in time for the next event. But trust me, as the owner of and ultimately the operator of the venue, no one cares more about that experience between both patron and community member. So then we talked about the entertainment zone. I think the entertainment zone, as Jason mentioned, there's already one in Napa. I mean, San Francisco's has been wildly successful at Sacramento in front. I went and participated in it a couple of Fridays ago or Saturdays ago, probably 2 months ago. It was crazy. And I think it really allows people, I mean, if you think about this and if you've traveled anywhere in the world, like if you're out in Dublin, Ireland, and you're out on the street, you're allowed to go out on the street, take a glass of beer or a cocktail or whatever it is, and you're outside, and then you're mixing with all the other venues on that street. And so it just has a much higher, more positive connection between all the establishments. And so I think that entertainment zone allows us to sort of create that own world within the ruins. And I have some more ideas on where it should go and what it should cover, because it does help on the ABC side. The ABC is the most complicated. If you think CEQA was complicated, the ABC rules are as complicated, if not more so, than CEQA. Along those lines, we've been in the Napa, every county hosts a lottery every year for a Type 47 license. Type 47 license is your classic bar restaurant license. They are county specific. They do not trade county to county. So as you can imagine, a license in San Francisco is super expensive. A license in Napa County is very expensive. A license in Solano County, not so expensive, but I can't move the license at my golf course across county lines to the ruins, even though it's 10 minutes away. So we've been in the lottery the last 5 years, and as luck would have it, we got a Type 47 2 weeks ago. And so that has a really big impact on the bar restaurant concept. And so one of the things we're doing for the zoo show coming up Halloween weekend is we're testing out an adjacent venue that will have a bar in it. It will have some of these features just to kind of see how we're bringing in about 200, 250 people from all different walks of our lives, collective lives of the people I work with, to sort of test this out. But I think that Type 47 goes a long ways in helping activate that bar restaurant concept. Let's see. Next one is this is the town center concept, and I am actually going to let Skylar handle this, who's I believe on Zoom. There he is. Let him read from the specific plan as well as the AC1 development agreement.
Yes. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, City Council, for allowing me time to speak. As to the question, how is the town center being implemented? We've really been focusing on what was laid out in the 2023 amended Watson Ranch specific plan, particularly as it relates to the Napa Valley Ruins and Gardens. If you recall, originally the entire area, the residences, parks, everything was identified as town center. And as this project has been dialed in over time, it's really been narrowed down to the specific plan, specifically identifying what's supposed to be occurring in each area. And for the Napa Valley Ruins and Gardens, I think that there are a couple of unique components as set forth in the specific plan. Specifically, the specific plan says, with regard to the Napa Valley Ruins and Gardens, it is anticipated that this area will develop organically over time so that standards and guidelines in this document, being the amended specific plan, while being directive, are intended to allow flexibility to encourage creative uses and design solutions in the adaptive reuse of the existing Napa Valley ruins and garden structures. And that's what we've really been trying to focus on, is how do we let this grow organically so that it can be a success and we can adapt the uses to the existing ruined structures, so we're not tearing structures down to build a new restaurant or fast food service, but we're trying to implement these uses in the existing ruins. And combine with that the fact that this is private property where we spend a lot of money not only on infrastructure, but also having artists come in and to paint beautiful murals on the walls that we want and need to protect, as well as the sculpture garden that's coming online. So as Mr. McGrath previously mentioned, we're trying to take what we can as this site grows organically and as the uses grow organically, learn from those lessons, and not only host shows there, but also try to find ways to open this up to the community, whether it's through the sculpture garden or other uses that we're trying to bring online to meet those missives of the specific plan. Thank you.
Thanks, Skylar. So the next question is, unless anybody has any comments or questions around that, next question is, the hospitality industry in Napa Valley is facing comparable challenges to that of the wine industry. How are the headwinds of these current market conditions shaping your plans for lodging at the ruins? It's a great question. And, you know, if you just sort of start breaking it apart, clearly the wine industry is going through a significant change. I personally believe it's not going away, as evidenced by the fact that, you know, we've bought 200 tons of grapes in the last 10 days. And, but it does have impact on the hospitality business. It has impact on the labor market. It has impact on unemployment, so on and so forth. I think there's multiple things contributing just besides the obvious, you know, wine industry recession, and then how people are using hospitality in Napa Valley. So when you really start to break this apart, if you think about Stanley Ranch, I won't count Caneros in it because it was built so long ago, but Stanley Ranch, Four Seasons, Montage, and Hillsburg, all of those hotels, those keys, those rooms cost about $2 million per room to bring those online. So I'll use Four Seasons specifically as an example to help answer this question about where we're going and why. So I think Four Seasons did 50 private residences. They built those private residences and sold them for, I don't remember the number, but probably between 7, 8 million a private residence. They did that to help lower the base cost of that hotel of 80 rooms. Those 80 rooms cost $160 million. That's why it's so expensive, you know. But that is a very select, small demographic in the world of hospitality. That is not our market here. And so if you look at where most hotels go, most hotels want to be on a major roadway. And so the challenge to the Ruins Hotel, if you look at it sort of from a classic conventional model, go back to the Four Seasons. One, that demographic isn't here, and it's going to be the last demographic to show up here. It will show up here, trust me. 5 years from now, when you've got 50 sculptures throughout the ruins and gardens and people are flying in here for some big, huge art festival from all over the world, and they're buying a sculpture for $5 million, they will come. But it is impossible to build that classic conventional concept of a Four Seasons or a Stanley up on that hill right now with all these other factors. I think there's a better way to approach this. We've talked about it internally with both staff and council members. I think the hotel site itself offers us a really interesting opportunity. There's 200 rooms there approved, plus 30, I think it's 30 or 32 private residences. Very similar model to what just happened at Stanley, what just happened at Four Seasons and Montage. I don't think those private residences that are designed are where the market's moving. I think a better approach is to break those apart, create what I would call bungalows that have a lower price point. We have a plan. I think, Will, if you want to, can I bring up that plan? Mayor? Is that okay?
Yeah.
The one from this morning?
Yeah. Do you have it?
Will, if you have that plan, will you bring it up, please?
Sure, I can bring it up now.
And this is really taking those private residences that are designed and approved and really looking at what is the market for the ruins and how do those interact with the ruins and how does the ruins interact with those bungalows. I think we can deliver those bungalows so remember, a key at the Four Seasons to build that is $2 million. I think we can deliver those bungalows probably somewhere in the 250,000 range per bungalow, because remember, all of our infrastructure's in around the site. And the comment that was made earlier is that we're behind. Actually, we're really not that far behind, because we spent 21, 22, 23 building infrastructure, building streets so you could get to these sites, putting in all those dry and wet utilities so that you could activate and energize these sites. So we're really not that far behind, if we're behind at all.
Mr. McGrath, if you could help, because I know there's some people in here that don't read maps like this.
Yeah. So Will, if you could just point out where the ruins are over there in the left corner, where the parking, we've used the parking. Yeah.
Yeah. So here are the ruins here on the left. Rolling Hills Drive is going where the hand is today. This is the future hotel pad that you've seen graded. Mallon Road is here on the east, and this is the parking that you've seen on the back here. And these are kind of these graded pads that are out there today that would be
already exist.
Already exist. That's correct. Yes.
So the idea behind this is, if, looking at a lot of the Reddit comments, where do I stay for an event? And I think that this type of lodging, this type of hospitality fits way better than trying to go build a 200 to 300 million vertical conventional hotel similar to Four Seasons or Stanley. And I think what it does do is it allows us to continue to use the existing parking that's next to Vintage, as well as the existing pad parking, which has been super convenient for the shows and events in the ruins and will continue to be. But I also think it brings the whole TOT online a lot quicker, as opposed to trying to go out and secure an operator, which we've exhausted ourselves trying to find what I would believe would be a long-term operator that I can stand behind, and then the financing market for a $200 or $300 million project. This is a way different lift, and my sense is that you're looking at a range in these of anywhere from a low of probably, and these would be, I think we design them as both 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms. These would be porches, very low key. I think you're looking in the neighborhood of anywhere from 300 to 600, 350 to 700 a night. And I think it fits so much better with where we're going with the ruins, but also sets the stage ultimately to show that it works, and then bring in a real operator and sort of reverse engineer this for the main hotel. So, any questions on?
Let me ask the council, any questions, council? Any clarifying questions? No? Go ahead and continue, Mr. McGrath.
So, next question. Question 7, you've studied access to the highway at both Rio Del Mar and South Napa Junction. Talk to us about challenges and costs and those other options. Explain why you think South Napa Junction is a better alternative. Hey, Will, if you could pull up that drawing. Great question. Again, super good question. So if you sort of, for the sake of just giving some context to this, we did a rail crossing agreement, I think it was 2006, if I remember correctly, for South Napa Junction. That's how long ago this process started. Rio Del Mar came to be in our specific plan in 2018, I believe, correct, Jason? In 2018, and then in our DA in 2019, both South Napa Junction and Rio were options for a rail crossing inside of our development agreement. And then over the last 18 months, we've hired an outside rail consultant expert. We spent 18 months working with CFNR, Genesee, Wyoming, UP, PUC. I mean, just, it's a very, very, very complicated process. And it's an iterative process. You don't start out with a textbook that tells you here's all the answers. And also, which is really important for especially for the newer council members, when we did our specific plan, when we did our DA, the whole roundabout concept on 29 didn't exist. And that may not seem like a big deal to anybody, but when you're looking at Rio going from a 4-way stoplight intersection to a roundabout, it's a much bigger, more complicated process because you're taking up more land mass. And you also happen to have two very large PG&E power poles that are sitting right where Rio would interface with SR 29. And then you introduce the roundabout concept. Now you've introduced Caltrans into this mix, NVTA, et cetera. And so our best guess is this is not operational. Forget the rail crossing. The interface to SR 29 is not operational until at least 10 years. I can't wait 10 years. If you want more revenue in that operating budget on the ruins in the hotel, I need access to Highway 29. And set aside the fact that the rail crossing itself is more complicated at Rio. There's two spurs that are existing to go into Adobe. The tracks are 2 tracks wide. At South Napa Junction, it's 1 track wide and there's no spurs and it's existing. And so when we got to the final stage, the final issue was CNFR talking to us about their actual train process on how they load these trains. And unfortunately, Rio is close to the service yard and the proximity trips those arms. And so in theory, not only are there whistles, but the arms are going down on a shadow basis because that train got within a certain number of feet of that proposed Rio Del Mar public at-grade crossing. So we shifted back to South Napa Junction, and I think we had a really positive conversation today around South Napa Junction. We already have an existing crossing. And what it does selfishly for us is gives us access to the ruins today off of SR 29. I don't need a fancy entrance. I don't need segment 1 and segment 2 of South Napa Junction on the Adobe side to be super fancy, because once they get it across the tracks, park their car, that experience takes over. And I think what would allow us to do if we pursue that is the city then can continue pursuing Rio Del Mar. And even I offered today, use our rail consultant, hire a rail consultant. I mean, we're deep into this process and stay on track to ultimately have Rio Del Mar as the main entrance. When the roundabout and when Adobe decides to develop that site and those rail spurs disappear, and maybe that track goes down to a single track, it makes the whole process of crossing the railroad tracks at Rio Del Mar much simpler. But in the meantime, we can keep going. Doesn't change the access to the hotel. It doesn't give us direct access to the hotel, but I'm not so concerned about it. If I'm not building a Four Seasons there, then I don't need to cater to that particular demographic that has a acceptability level that is, I can't meet it. And so with the bungalows, if you have to go a little bit further around to stay in something that costs $400 or $450 or $500 a night, I can rationalize not having direct access into the bungalows for the time being. And then if Rio never gets built, Rio never gets built. But that's something that we can approach to another day. So not only is this functionally, the cost differential here is it's millions upon millions upon millions of dollars difference. And the timing issue is we can start operating in theory with some tweaks here and there. We could start operating South Napa Junction by early next year versus Rio Del Mar is a decade away. So without getting into too much more detail on that, Mayor, is there any questions on that?
Council, any questions? Still seeing none? You're down to your last three little
Okay.
questions on here.
I'll
And
keep
just so
rolling.
everybody else knows, we have these 10 questions that Mr. McGrath are going through
Yeah.
are done for him, so it helps.
So then question 8, you've studied the extension of Newell Drive as a northern access to American Canyon. Talk to us about the challenging cost in building Newell Drive. Explain why you think Watson Lane is better alternative. Thank you, Will. Will, why don't you take this one on, and then I'll do the color.
And real quick, Mr. McGrath, can you just explain who Will is to the?
Oh, sure. So Will Carlson is with CBG. CBG has been our civil engineer for 21 years. Some of you may remember Jason Neary. Jason Neary is Will's partner and still there. And then the C in CBG, that is Will's father was the C. And Will, as much as I love Jason Neary, and hopefully he's listening, I've loved the transition to Will, and Will is incredible. The best civil engineer I've ever worked with. And when you're dealing with projects of this scale, a civil engineer is, if not the most important, definitely in the top 5 most important consultants in a project this big. So why don't you take it on, Will?
Thanks, Terry. Appreciate it. So I'm gonna kind of flip through the graphic here and just kind of talk about the different Newell segments if that works for everybody. So we've got Newell segment 1 here, which goes from existing Malin Newell today up to Rio Del Mar. Newell segment 2, which goes along the Promontory project. Newell segment 3, which comes here from the northern side of Promontory to future Watson Lane extension. Segment 4, which goes up the north property line, and then segment 5, which comes off-site to Paley Loop Road. So right now, where we are in the project, we have built, I'm going to flip back an exhibit here. So in red, this is phase 1, which is under construction or complete. We've got the first subdivision here, Artisan, the hotel grading, the Ruins and Gardens, Lemos Point Apartments. This is KB's Lot 7 site, which is under construction. We've got Lot 8, which is a KB site as well, also under construction. Then we've got the Lot 10 site, which is DR Horton, which is almost complete.
And show the pre-graded school as well, Will.
Correct. This is the pre-graded
the park.
park site. Yeah, that's correct. And
Former school site.
Former school site. Infrastructure-wise, Terry, and Rolling Hills Drive is complete. Malin Way is complete. Rio Del Mar is complete from Malin up to Marcus. And Marcus is now extended here to the end of the future park in Lot 7. So as the projects progressed over the last 3 to 4
Will, let me pause you for 1 second there so that, and then I'll let you come right back in. So on that yellow area, so we have been working with the city over the last 9 months, 6 to 9 months on our mass grading plan. So that is phase 2 of Watson Ranch, which is approximately 600 homes. We are hoping to have the graders in the ground within 2 weeks on that site. And so, as you can imagine, we're trying to figure out where we're getting out of that northern section of the project. Are we getting out of there by Newell Drive, or are we getting out of there by Watson Lane? And as I mentioned earlier today when I was meeting with the mayor and Jason, it's really important, and Will, what's the number one issue when you're talking to a public home builder? Because obviously they use the civil engineer just like we do. What's the number one issue they ask you about phase two of Watson Ranch?
The number one issue that we've run into is just getting northern access is circulation, because right now the site's essentially landlocked from the south. So, the first half of the site, not that big of a deal, but as you kind of push your way north and if we assume we're building homes all the way up here towards this northern property line, it's a very long dead end. So it is a major issue that we have no through access or, northern circulation. It's the number one issue that we're running into right now.
So Will, let me pause you again just so I can add a little bit more detail and context to this. So if you're a homeowner living in the most northern section and where you can't get access to Newell and you can't get access to Watson Lane, and you want to go to Napa for the evening, you have to come all the way down through the project, go out Rolling Hills Drive, Donaldson, make a right on Donaldson, get on 29 and head north. That's terrible for home sales. That is awful for home sales. And so set aside the fact that the hotel doesn't have access to 29. Again, those bungalows will need northern access. And so the challenge for us is we should have our grading plans approved here very shortly. And we've done all of our surveys because we have to do our updated, wildlife surveys before we get out there and grade. We're ready to grade, but we don't know what street we're grading to get access out. So keep going, Will.
Yeah. Yeah. So Terry, to your point, this mass grading is looking to basically get the site prepared for the rest of the project. So it's the entire second phase with, homes hopefully coming here shortly thereafter, as well as roadway connections as well. So I'll flip back over to the circulation exhibit.
Yeah.
Oops, sorry. There we go.
Yeah.
So this is the circulation exhibit that we were just looking at. So all of the green roads are currently installed, Marcus Road up to that future phase 2 line, which is right here. And Newell Drive is not constructed at all, right? So there's no Newell Drive to Rio, there's no Newell Drive along Promontory, and there's no Newell Drive north. So where we are today right now, we need access. We need access out to the north. That's our number one item. So what we're asking and what we want to do is we would like to extend Marcus up to the intersection of Watson Lane and carry Watson Lane over to the west to Paley Loop Road with a minor modification to the roadway section to widen it, install a sidewalk, and then provide full circulation for the site, which would then allow the rest of the site to essentially develop, and our number one item that we're running into would be taken care of.
So just to remind the city and city council, the city has responsibility to Newell's 3, 4, and 5. That's in our DA. And so back to the question, talk to us about the challenges, the cost of Newell Drive, and why do we think Watson Lane is a better idea? So we spent a lot of time on this morning, and hold it right there, Will. It's kind of the same issue when you think about Rio Del Mar and South Napa Junction. It's almost the exact same setup because South Napa Junction has an existing railroad crossing, has connection to 29. Rio Del Mar doesn't have a railroad crossing, doesn't have access to 29. Watson Lane has a public railroad crossing. That is an at-grade public railroad crossing. That is gold. And it has access to 29. And so then what does Newell have? Newell has simply the right-of-way. Between the Newell family and our side, I think the city has something like 10,000 linear feet of right-of-way. That's all you have. So Will, what is a elevated crossing on Newell plus dam wall plus crossing the wetlands? What does that one piece cost? Just that piece alone?
Yeah, so I had to flip over to this. So this is, I'll highlight this real quick. So this would be Newell Drive, and it would need to cross the railroad here as well as the creek wetland here to connect up to Paley Loop Road and Green Island Road.
Just again, to get context, whether it's Watson Lane or Newell Drive, both of them access Paoli, meaning they both come to the same place essentially. And you can still, if you want to go northbound, you can only still go right at the interface of Paoli and SR 29. And if you want to go south, you're going to have to do Paoli Loop all the way underneath and to make a right-hand turn to head south. So they essentially bring you to the same place. So keep going, Will.
Yeah, so yeah, I highlighted Watson Lane here in blue. But yeah, Terry, back to your question, right? This would be an elevated crossing. So you're talking about probably 25 feet over the railroad. You're also talking about an elevated crossing over the creek. So elevated crossing over the railroad's probably 20 or 30 million. Elevated crossing over the creek's another 10. You've also got to acquire property. You've also got to fill in here as well. So all in, it's 40 million just for the crossings probably, as well as then you have to build the road the rest of the way, which is from, if we go from south to north, down here at Malin, through the project, off-site, and then over to Paoli Loop and Green Island.
And so you're looking at, assume it's basically 2 miles. You're building that roadway today at about $2,500 per linear foot. So that's a 30 to 35 million. So you're looking at a project of 75 million. And now switch back to Watson Lane. You already have a public rail crossing. And when you annex the Paoli Watson Lane area, you have to provide sewer. The city has to provide sewer. They already have hydrants out there. They already have electricity. They already have gas. They already have sewer. I mean, they already have storm. And so, again, if you go back to the South Napa Junction versus Rio concept, I don't need a fancy road out. I just have to get access in the north to not only Watson Ranch Phase 2, but also anybody that's interested in coming to the ruins or exiting the ruins and or the hotel who's going back north. And in the interim, the city can continue to work on Newell Drive. But it doesn't slow me down. And again, it gets back to more sales tax, more hotel tax. Because if I can't get access to Newell Drive and or Watson Lane, not in 10 years, tomorrow, then I can't sell lots in Phase 2. And that money is the money that goes into the hotel and goes into the ruins. And so we're at this critical juncture where, the theory occurred, the discussion in front of the white chalkboard occurred in 2006, 2007, 2008. Today, we are in the ground, and it'd be like being 60% across the Sahara Desert, and then somebody asking me to go back to where I started and have a conversation about how I'm going to cross the Sahara Desert. I can't go back. It's impossible.
Real quick, Mr. McGrath, we're coming up on 20 minutes before 10 o'clock. We're going to have to vote whether or not we're going to continue, but I want to give an opportunity for public comment as well.
We can wrap this up really quickly. Okay. So bottom line is, I think you're looking at a cost of 70 million and probably at least 10 years. I don't think you'll ever get Newell done, ever. And versus Watson, where I think you can probably do it for a fraction of that 70 million. Last question, unless you want to add any other pieces, Will, to this discussion on Newell versus Watson?
I think the only other item to mention, Terry, is just kind of going back to this graphic that we had, was just having access, northern access now is very important for the project to keep progressing forward. So I just want to kind of emphasize that as far as this mass grading that's going to occur on Phase 2, in order to kind of keep the rest of the project progressing after this mass grade phase, we need access to the north.
Yeah. The other thing is Watson Ranch doesn't need any utilities in Watson Lane. The only thing we're going to do is connect to the water that already exists in Watson Lane, so we have a redundant loop through the whole project. That's the only utility because we've already built all of our utilities. So moving on to 9, are we willing to work with other developers to improve American Canyon circulation plan. Everything outside of Watson Lane and Newell Drives 3, 4, and 5, we're happy to cooperate and work with other developers. But I can't be working with other developers on a project. Newell segments 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 are in our development agreement, and that is the agreement between the city and us. Big picture number 10, what are the biggest challenges and how can the city of American Canyon better assist you? The housing market is terrible in California. It just is. I mean, you know, obviously it's gone crazy in San Francisco in the last 6 months because of AI, and that will influence, you know, some of the secondary and tertiary markets surrounding the Bay Area. But the California balloon just has too many leaks in it. And so, you know, we've struggled out here, and the public home builders, the vertical builders, they really are struggling with housing prices. Costs continue to go up and housing prices are flat. The actual sale value of the house is flat. But the actual cost to the consumer is significantly higher. It's 2 to 3x higher to the consumer because of interest rates than it was 5 years ago. So that's obviously outside of our control. Hospitality, general markets outside of our control. Northern access is how the city can help us immediately, as well as a western access off of South Napa Junction. Thank you for your time and happy to answer any other questions.
Thank you, Mr. McGrath. No questions right now from the council, but I do want to open it up for public comment. There won't be a dialogue with public comment, but you may want to hang around so when we close public comment to answer some questions from council. Madam Clerk,
I have Yvonne Baginski.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm hoping to still be coherent. I'm very tired, as all of you are as well, so I'm going to keep it very short. I want to bring to your attention that the 321 acres of the Jaeger property that is on the third issue of the notice of intent I have been reading it and talking with Devin Best of Golden State Conservation, who's doing the land trust, who's doing the conservation easement on this. And I had some concerns regarding the management plan, and I've taken it to several agencies to look it over as well. So I'd like to pull that out of the minute order so that we could look at this a little closer. One of my big concerns is that this mitigation was done specifically for the conservation, as a conservation plan for the red-legged frog, and there is no water on this property. I looked over the plan for that property, and most of it has to do with repairing fencing, 7,000 feet of fencing, troughs and gates, which were primarily for the cattle that are currently on that property, but there wasn't anything allocated for habitat restoration for any of the critical habitat that's needed for the frog or any of the burrowing owls and nesting owls or any of the other special status species that are on this property. So I just wanted to take a closer look at this. Again, I'm just bringing it to your attention. I did speak with Mr. Cooper about it as well. And I said, can we take another look at this? Can we see how it can be a better conservation plan for this area? You know, you've seen me up here many times talking about the need for habitat conservation. And if we're going to do it, let's do it right. And right now, when I look over all of this, this is all about the cattle and keeping the cattle in there. And I understand that they have to have the fencing for the preservation. It's part of the requirement, but there's also other things that we can do. And there's no water on this property. So frogs without water, do they even exist? So thank you. And I'm asking this to just be set aside so it could be worked on further. Thank you.
Thank you, Yvonne.
I have no other speaker. Oh, Barry Christian.
Good evening, Barry.
Thank you. I'm on the OSATS committee appointed by the city, and I'm also on the Napa Valley Vine Trail Coalition on their advisory board. I'm not a voting member, but I'm involved. And I make clear, I'm not speaking on behalf of either of those groups. I'm speaking as a private citizen. While reviewing the strategic plan, I noticed a lot of references to the Vine Trail. Part of it, I thought I was reading a brochure for the Vine Trail, which is great. I love the Vine Trail. But we had a German female bicyclist coming up from Vallejo that asked me at Newell Preserve, where's the Vine Trail? I'm lost. She made it all the way from the city on the ferry, and Vallejo has opened its section. It's done. You can come from Vallejo up to the city, but you're stuck at Watson Ranch. So this was helpful, trying to figure out, okay, where is it? What's holding it up? Is it funding? Is it the proposed route? Is it right away? I'm hoping that that sidewalk that could be built on Watson Lane would be wide enough for a class 1. No. Okay, so what's the route for the Vine Trail? Where's it going to go? We've got a workaround. We're sending people down Donaldson Way now to wetlands and go up that and use the Bay Trail. But this isn't a Bay Trail meeting. This is a Watson Ranch meeting. So but then how are you going to get
Well, we're
from,
not opening it up this for a dialogue. We're just using
Yeah,
public comment right now.
So, okay, so I'm guessing it's going to be Watson Lane then. But if it's Watson Lane and there's no room for a sidewalk to get you out to 29, then I mean, if there's no room for a class 1, then you don't have a Vine Trail route. That's my question is, what's the route? Where's the Vine Trail going and what's holding it up? Funding, permitting, staffing resources, what is it? And the Vine Trail Coalition did some strategic planning in 2023, 5-year plan. They're looking to close this up, complete the Vine Trail by 2028. That's their hope. They've still got a lot to do, but I don't see this getting done here in 2 years. So just curious. I came here to get some clarity and put in a plug for the Vine Trail. So thank you.
Thank you, Barry. Any other public comment?
I have no other cards and there are no community members online.
Thank you. Mr. Holly?
Was just going to share a little information on the Vine Trail. The route of the Vine Trail is through the middle of the Watson Ranch specific plan, and then it follows Watson Lane around Paley Loop to Green Island Road. That's both in this Watson Ranch specific plan and the city's circulation element.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Coming back to council for any clarifying questions or comments? Seeing none, I want to thank you again, Mr. McGrath, for coming out and your team. We do have a question. Vice Mayor Joseph.
It's more based on where the city manager was looking for some direction. Of the 3 areas, I certainly think the entertainment zone is something we should pursue and explore and work with the developer to make that happen. I think it will certainly help the project, and there's no apparent downside that I can see. So I would like to see us move forward on that. The other 2 items, I'm not 100% sure. We've got to do something with rail access. We've got to do something with some of the permitting issues. But for now, I'm would strongly support going ahead with the entertainment zone, bringing it back.
Is that something you're making a motion on?
All right, I'll just make me a motion that we direct staff to come back with an entertainment zone or ordinance.
Second.
We have a second. Can you get a roll call, please?
We're not doing the minute order, just number 1. That's what we're doing. Intent to submit an application. Okay. And that is Mark.
Mark David.
I'm sorry, who was the?
David.
Thank you.
I think I made the motion. I think Councilmember Cruz was the second.
Oh, I thought it was David.
He was choking. I'm sorry, who was the second?
Cruz was the
Cruz,
second.
thank you. Okay.
Or was
So we'll do a roll call. All right. Councilmember Cruz,
Yes.
Councilmember Lamatina,
Yes.
Councilmember Oro,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Joseph,
Yes.
Mayor Washington.
Yes. And your light was on prior to that motion, Councilmember, or did you have another question?
I'm good. Thank you.
Good, okay, okay. Again, thank you, Mr. McGrath and your team. Appreciate you coming out. I'll close item 9. And then we've already done all of our management and staff. You know, we're about 10 minutes from 10 o'clock, but we had plans on meeting for a continuance on our closed session. I need to come to council to find out if we're still interested in that closed session after open session.
I think we can give ourselves 15 to 20 minutes to close out.
Yeah.
What's there. Yeah.
No objections to that? No. Okay, that's fair. Thank you. And we'll move into our mayor and council comments and committee reports. Vice Mayor Joseph?
I already did my report. Sake of time.
Councilmember Oro.
Nothing to report, but I do want to commend, like everyone else did, the Wall That Heals volunteers. I was able to attend the Saturday ceremony, and it was moving, and we should be proud that it was here and be more proud of the people that put it together. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Councilmember Lamartina.
Nothing to report.
Thank you. Councilmember Cruz.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate the fact that the Wallet Hills that was here was exceptionally wonderful, very moving. Thank you for everyone that had a part in it. I had a chance to go to Long Beach for our convention for Cal season. That was wonderful. That's all I have a report for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Cruz. I have nothing to add to my committee report. Any future agenda items?
Mr. Mayor, I have more of a report than an agenda item. Could we get a report? Is it the living wall or the tree outside our council that allows for servicemen to be recognized and acknowledged? Yeah. Could we just get a report on, what's the process? Who do people need to connect with? Part of being out at the Wall That Heals, I had some conversations with individuals that were curious about it. And so I thought I would just bring it up to say, can we just get a report on the process?
Vice Mayor Joseph, outside the wall, if you're in City Hall, there's a sign with QR codes that will take you to a form that can be filled out. And I believe those links are also on the website, but I will double check with Ali on that.
Okay, thanks. Then that makes it good for me.
Any other future agenda items? Hearing none. For the most part, for tonight, we have concluded our business for this evening. We are adjourned. Good night, American Canyon.